chafu, kwa Kiingereza wanaita haters, wakae mbali sana na serikali yetu, ndio hawa wazee waweze kufanya kazi.
Kule Tharaka Nithi tumeshikilia Deputy President sana kwa nguvu sana, na tunashukuru kwa ile kazi nyingi anafanya ya kutuunganisha sisi kama watu wa mlima.
Sasa walikuwa wametengeneza jama ati ndio tuachane na mabadiliko, wanakataa kununua kahawa. Wakae naye ati ndio tuachane na hiyo mabadiliko, na walifanya hivyo mwaka wa 2019, serikali ikaigiza baridi ikawakubalia kuendelea. Wakafanya hivyo 2020. Sasa hii tumesema hakuna. Kama mtaki kununua ni sawa. Tumetafuta pesa ya serikali 4 billion na tuko na ingine bilioni 2. Sasa tunapanga vile hii pesa itafika kwa mkulima direct.
In other news, Azimio leader Raila Odinga has criticized the newly launched universal healthcare coverage initiative, saying it will add more tax burden on Kenyans. Speaking during a church service in Kericho County, the Azimio leader also criticized the handling of the Mavoko land row. Tilio Marco has the details of that story.
Azimio Brigade, led by Raila Odinga, attended an interdenominational church service at the KCB grounds in Kajiado County. They used the opportunity to fold the launch of the universal health coverage.
Wakenya wanalia kila mahali sababu ushuru inapandishwa kila siku. Juzi mnasikia wanazindua ile mpango ya matibabu, alafu hiyo sasa tena vile vile inaleta ushuru mwingine, na hiyo vile vile inaletwa bila mpango yoyote.
On the ongoing national dialogue, the opposition leaders say they will not accept anything less than an outcome that addresses the cost of living. Raila also criticized the parliament for what he termed as a hurried passage of bills.
Wabunge hao wanapata pesa lakini hakuna kazi wanafanya. Muswada inatoka kule Ikulu, inakuja kwa bunge, inapitishwa ndani ya saa moja peke yake. Unaambiwa ya kwamba hakuna saa ya kuongea.
The opposition leaders revisited the Mavoko land row, where they say that the matter could have been handled in a better way.
Jukumu ni la serikali, hata sio Portland, kuona ya kwamba mipango imefanywa. Kama iko mazungumzo baina ya Portland na wenye kumiliki, ni serikali ingesimamia hiyo mazungumzo.
Sasa hiyo kampuni ambayo ilichukua hiyo ardhi hawakulipa chochote. Maekari ati 4,000 na kitu. Wanasema wanataka kuuza. Kama walikuwa wanataka kuuza, mbona wakaenda kauliza wale watu kama wanataka kulipa?
Tilio Marco for Good Morning Kenya.
A section of politicians allied to the United Democratic Alliance in Luo Nyanza is urging their colleagues in the Orange Democratic Movement to give multi-party democracy a chance in the region. Now, the group says the people must be given the space to chart the political cause for the sake of unity and development. Let's get more details with Wycliffe Okech.
The leaders who spoke at Anomia Church service in Kisumu were reacting to a Saturday incident in Rangwe constituency, Homa Bay County, where violence briefly disrupted an economic empowerment forum driven by leaders allied to the government. The incident was, however, contained. The leaders condemned the incident, terming it retrogressive politics.
Stone throwing in political parties. It is not only us, the Luos, who know how to do it. We saw it in Turkana as a lesson. That if you bring this heckling, stone throwing, and violence and intolerance in Luo land, it will spread everywhere and you will be consumed.
The leaders urged their counterparts in the opposition to give political democracy a chance if the region is to benefit from the government's development agenda.
As a community, we have been in some political slavery for so long that even now when we have this space, some of us still don't know how to make up our minds without hiding in a corner or without explanation.
Information, Communication and the Digital Economy Cabinet Secretary Eliud Owalo called upon the youth from the region to embrace the SACCO concept for collective growth.
There is a feasible development plan for Nyanza. That plan entails revitalization of the sugar factories, You have seen already the president has already waived all the debts of the sugar companies.
Wallo once again reiterated his plea for the region to embrace the Kenya Kwanza administration for unity and development.
We have no choice but to work with the government of today. The time for elections is over, and the president has stated many a time that he is going to serve all parts of the country, irrespective of the voting patterns that we witnessed during the election.
When we are doing the development, bringing ships, building ships here, it's something that should be seen that the government is looking for ways and means of creating employment and raising revenue.
For Channel 1 from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Thank you, Wycliffe Okech, for that report. The government has assured Baringo County residents that it will deal with runaway insecurity witnessed lately. Now, cooperatives, small and medium enterprises Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugoi gave the assurance in Carbonet a day after a National Police reservist was shot dead in Kiserian in Baringo South.
Hile NDR vijana tumepewa kutulinda, hawa wakora wamekuja wameua na wamejeruhi mwingine. So I want to send you waziri with humility to your colleague CS Kindiki. Please inform him that the bandits are recruiting again. Let them mobilize the force that they had mobilized before, atusaidie isiende mbele vile ilikuwa. Na mimi nawaidia watu wa Baringo kwamba tukishikana na yule mwenzangu waziri wa usalama Profesa Kithure Kindiki ambaye ni mtu mungwana, kwamba tuangalie sana, tusiachilie mapema hii mambo ya kushikilia usalama katika Baringo, sababu inatia watu wasi. Watu walikuwa wamerudi kwa mashamba, wamerudi nyumbani, lakini hii mauaji ambayo ilifanyika hivi majuzi inatukera, na ile kazi yote tumefanya inatutia wasiwasi.
Now, in the heart of higher learning institutions where the laughter of students is commonplace and the pursuit of knowledge is ever present, there exists a silent threat. Now, a silent battle that rages on, and it's a battle that is often overlooked. It's triggered by a range of pressures to excel in campus, peer pressure, and which often weighs heavily on the minds of the students. A silent threat that has, in some cases, resulted in students committing suicide, while others get caught up in a love triangle that ends in tragedy. Now, we want to shed light on this silent threat, as told by John Kahiro, who shares some of the silent struggles campus students endure.
In October, Kenya joined the world in marking World Mental Health Awareness Day under the theme Mental Health is a Universal Human Right, a theme that rings true to many who continue to grapple with mental illness in silence. It is also a reality for students on campus. Amid academic pressures and social expectations, mental ailments often lurk in the background, unnoticed and unaddressed. The stigma surrounding mental ailments forces a majority of students to remain silent, which amplifies their struggles. In the outskirts of Kisumu County, meet Isaac, a psychology student at one of the universities in the region. Beneath his cool demeanor lies a tale of struggle. His battle with pornography addiction, introduced to him by a close friend, will make his life go downhill.
Alinipatia simu yake na mimi nikampatia yangu. So while I was going through the videos, that's where I came upon this video, like, you know, the pornography video. Hapo ndo nilianza kuziona.
As he descended into the grip of addiction, isolation became his closest companion, locking him away from friends and family.
It felt like zenye naona, they are not satisfying me the way nilikuwa napata ile thrill, the stimulation I used to get. So I opted out making it real. Niache kushinda nikiwatch video. I'm not even helping people close to me. Hata sitaki kujua vile wamelala ama vile wameamka ama anything. No. And then that numbness, I felt an emotional numbness because I could not connect with people. opposite gender.
This will later plunge him into the brink of suicidal thoughts.
It was just like a voice telling me, like, you don't deserve to live anymore, my brother. Chakula huwezi jinunulia, all you can do is watch pornography. And now you are here. What are you even doing? Like, I felt like I had no purpose. I had nothing else. And I had some laser blades on the table. So I took one out of nowhere and I slashed my wrist here. Nikaona hapa ni kama damu mingi itoki. So I slashed here. Okay? So nilijikata mara mbili, like on a very fast pace. I was so sure that after that I'm going to die. I also started like trying to find a purpose for my life.
His journey from the depths of addiction to the heights of empathy resonates with his fellow students. He is now using his story blended with professional knowledge to impact the lives of his fellow students. Isaac's ordeal is just the tip of the iceberg of the myriad of challenges young people face.
Someone comes to school and they find that they left home with some other burden, like there was something still scratching the family.
Students have now a common call of endurance in the tough journey to success.
It's up to us to appreciate the little that we have and also to speak out. It's not a problem shared, it's a problem half solved.
Ms. Wambei Abishag, a psychological counselor at the Kenya Institute of Professional Counseling, in what she terms as a torn societal fabric, associates depression among youth and especially campus students to failure of opening up in times of distress.
The young people have trust issues with authority. So when somebody is suffering or facing sadness, depression or loss, they don't know who to run to.
According to Ambei, some of the signs of depression include low self-esteem, difficulty in making decisions, and continuous low mood or sadness, among others, which she says may result in suicidal thoughts if unchecked. Calls have also been made to stakeholders, including parents, to join efforts to speak about mental illness amid concerns over increased cases of suicide and death at institutions of higher learning.
Comradeship is strength. Let's talk it out.
Comradeship is brotherhood. Let us speak it out.
Ultimately, it's a call to action to higher learning institutions, students and the society at large to prioritize the mental well-being of these young dreamers as they pursue their higher education. John Kahiro, KBC Channel 1, Kisumu.
Thank you, John Kahiro, for that report. Now let's look at sports, where former World Half Marathon silver medalist Kibiwot Kandie and 2022 World 10,000 meters bronze medalist, that is Margaret Chelimo, are the winners of this year's edition of the Valencia Marathon held yesterday in Spain. Now Kandie retained his title after clocking 57 minutes and 40 seconds as Ethiopia's pair, that is Hagod Gebrewet and Yomif Kajalcha, completed the podium dash. His triumph followed last year's victory on the same course, where he clocked 58 minutes and 10 seconds to claim his second title in Spain since his debut in 2020. In the ladies category, 2022 World 10,000 meters bronze medalist Margaret Chelimo took charge of the women's race in the time of 1 hour and 4 minutes as Commonwealth Games 10,000 meters silver medalist Irene Chemtai and Jane Chepngetich took the second and third places respectively. This was Chelimo's first race since the beginning of the month, when she clinched silver in the women's half marathon at the World Road Running Championships in Riga, Latvia. Okay, we move on, where Kakamega Homeboys registered a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Nzoia Sugar in FKFPL match played on Sunday at Sudi Stadium in Bungoma. In other matches, defending champions, that is Gor Mahia, registered a 1-0 victory over former champions, that is Tusker FC, in a match played at the Moi International Sports Centre, Kasarani. Let's get the details of that story.
Kenyan international Moses Shuma scored a winning goal for the visiting Kakamega Homeboys in an hour mark, which the side protected to the end of the match. Following the win, Homeboys sits fifth on the standing with 11 points. In another result, Kariobangi Sharks were held to a 1-1 draw by Muhoroni Youths at Moi International Sports Centre, Kasarani. Defending champions Gor Mahia defeated former champions Tusker FC 1-0, where Bandari beat AFC Leopards 1-0.
Let's look at rugby now, where England fell agonizingly short of the supreme upset and the 5th Rugby World Cup final as South Africa came on strong to snatch a 16-15 victory in Paris. England were canny and committed in the first half, raining down kicks into the South Africa backfield, forcing a steady supply of penalties. Owen Farrell converted 4 to send his side into the break with a 12-6 lead. The Springboks chopped and changed their lineup after the break, but a Farrell drop goal edged England further clear and to the brink of a seismic shock. However, an RG Steinman tried 10 minutes from cut the underdogs' lead to 15-13 before the Boks scrum power and Henry Pollard the match-winning penalty in the 77th minute. Now, South Africa will defend their title against New Zealand in the final on October the 28th.
Final, that ball's gone forward at the breakdown, and there it is. There it is.
Now, Burundi became the 100th country to implement FIFA's Football for Schools program after the World Football Governing Body, led by its president Gianni Infantino, launched the event at Urunai Stadium in Buganda, Bujumbura. The ceremony took place in the presence of the Burundi Minister of East African Community Affairs, Youth, Sports and Culture, Gervais Abeyeho, and the President of the Football Federation of Burundi, Alexander Muyenge. FIFA Chief of Global Football Development, Arsene Wenger, and Chairman of FIFA Referees Committee, Belgui Kolena, were also part of the FIFA delegation. Football for Schools aims to make the game more accessible to young people by incorporating football activities into the education system. Supported by UNESCO, the program contributes to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals by empowering children. Well, thank you so much for keeping it Channel 1, that is where we want to end the news this morning. We still have a lot lined up for you in as far as the news is concerned during the day, so you want to tune in. But I want to take a break right now, and I'll be giving room to Vivian and Mike to continue with Good Morning Kenya. My name is Maria Ambo. Hope to see you again next time.
Giza giza tutafanya lile tendo, washamaliza ngatembo, kinachofuata ni skendo.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa.
Shika ujaribu, si ujaribu.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa. Hii kitu inaweza toshea.
Mande tunasere tukimada repeat it. Leo tunakunywa hadi tutoke kwa news. Aya, hola.
Na imagine ilikuwa ni ngoma na ilia hapo kuna chomeka. Ni mbaya. Alafu mtu anacheka.
Wazima moto.
Hello. Niaje bro? Ni Sami Kioko ule ulikuwa unanipeleka Churchill. Hebu nikukol.
Mambo nakuwa yege. Mambo nakuwa lombo, yani mambo nakuwa bravo.
Forgiven me and he wants things to work between us. That's because he loves me.
And you? Do you also love him?
If anything happens to my sister or me, that statement is going to be delivered to the proper authorities.
It's about time you understood that not everyone you deal with will do your bidding.
Olga.
Get out! You'll have enough time to comply with the reforms needed at the public clinic.
No.
There it is. This is impossible.
You want to see your son. That's what you have to do.
Uko kwa mutito wanaoana na mfunga ndoa na maji.
Hiyo madhalau utaniletea hapa.
Naweza kukutandika. Mimi naweza kukupiga mgongo.
Kikuja hapa matunge nikose kuku.
Wewe.
Nipatie mocha bana hiyo.
Kwanza ongea Kichina.
Oh, Kichina. Ajiu, ajiu, ajiu. Ya, ajiu.
Giza giza tutafanya lile tendo, washamalizanga tembo, kinachofuata ni skendo.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa.
Shika ujaribu, si ujaribu.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa. Hii kitu inaweza toshea.
Monday to na sere tukimada repeat it. Leo tunakunywa hadi tutoke kwa news. Aya, hola.
Na imagine ilikuwa ni ngoma na inailia hapo kuna chomeka. Ni mbaya. Alafu mtu anacheka.
Wazima moto.
Hello. Niaje bro? Ni Sami Kioko ule ulikuwa unanipeleka Churchill. Ebu nikukol.
Mambo nakuwa yege, mambo nakuwa lombo, yani mambo nakuwa bravo.
Do you still remember what happened?
No, not a thing.
What? How could you forget?
I no matter what happened that night, I don't remember it. You better forget too.
Let me ask you this. If you were to run into your ex in the street, how would you feel about it?
Don't try to make this about me.
Turn around, let's talk, okay? I'm not saying that we shouldn't go anywhere.
But every time I ask you about it, you act like it's gonna kill you.
Before the end of the night. Boy, when you are par with we, a good time is guaranteed. Bums.
Hop, skip your enemy there. Sing your one from left to right, you know the saga man there. I could no man with the whole of them are humiliate. Remember, could no man from here can bring the rap into the state. Remember, big, car big, house big. We no worry. We sing for the girl.
All right, welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. You're right in time for what is in the headlines. And with me is a copy of the Standard newspaper and the People Daily newspaper. And we'll just be going through some of the stories that have made the headlines on these papers. And Mike has also two other papers, the Daily Nation.
I have the Daily Nation and the Star, yes.
All right, if I may begin with the Standard right here. And tighten belts as Ruto Care comes at an extra cost. Now, the pay slips for Kenyans employed in the formal sector will shrink further following the signing of the Universal Health Coverage Bill into law. The new law increases contribution that Kenyans have been making to 2.75% of their pay for the state health insurance that will then be matched by their employers. So if you are employed in the formal sector, you know that your pay slip will have some other deductions. And it actually says that for someone who was receiving, who was earning 90,000 Kenyan shillings a month, their usual contribution before this particular bill was signed into law was 1,200 Kenyan shillings per month, but now they will be contributing up to 2,475. If you want to get more details on this particular story, it is on page 2 and page 3 of this Standard. And another story right here on the Standard is win for tenants fighting to stop skyscrapers in posh Lavington area. Now, the Environment Court has barred a developer from putting up 512 house units in Lavington in a battle with neighbors over alleged failure to comply with zoning regulations and environmental concerns. The tenants of that particular estate, which is the Millennial Gardens estate, was seeking to stop developers from putting up apartments beyond 4 floors, and the court has granted them that. There's another story here. This one is actually an entertainment story where Kenyan artists shine at the first Trace Awards held in Rwanda. Now, the inaugural Trace Awards happened over the weekend in Rwanda, and we had Kenyan artists who got to perform. That is Nadia Mukami and Janet Otieno, but Nigerians were actually the ones who took the day, as they got to win so many awards over there. If you're interested in that particular story, it is on the entire page 8 of the Standard newspaper.
I want to talk a little bit on that story. Why is Nigerian music taking over Africa? Because if you compare Nigerians and Kenyans at the continental level, their music is higher. It's getting played in almost every radio stations across, especially here in Kenya. So what is it that they are doing to get this recognition? And even when you look at American artists, some of them are looking for Nigerian artists when they want to do that Afrobeat. So what is it that the Nigerians are doing that
I
other
think
artists,
it's just a matter of time, and I think it's time for Afrobeats.
Okay.
Afrobeats is the in thing at the moment, and since it's what they do, so that's why they're shining at the moment.
okay.
You know, our time will come.
All right.
Our time as Kenyans will come. That is Genge, which is our music. Moving on with what is on the Standard newspaper: double investment in education to improve quality and access. Chapter 4, Article 43 of the Constitution provides that every Kenyan citizen is entitled to, among other rights and freedom, the right to education. And this is in line with the Education for All goals that call on all countries to ensure they provide their citizens with free, accessible, and equitable education in tandem with the SDG 4 agenda. Now, last week, the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development in Nairobi, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, KUPPET Parents Association, TSC, and the Ministry of Education, among other stakeholders in the education field, held a conference on funding and commercialization of education that was sponsored by Education International. So this is some good news for education. And if I may just read one more story from the Standard before we get to know maybe what is happening in the Daily News, in the Daily Nation. Stop bars near schools from playing loud music. Now, most bars and restaurants routinely play loud music. That is a fact. Some of them are located near schools, and since the national examinations will commence in 1 week's time, they should limit their noise pollution to give students time to write their exams. Now, better still, the government should ban them from playing loud music. That is a story that is on page 15 on noise pollution. I don't know what is in the Daily Nation before I go on.
Before I even get to Daily Nation, that story about those clubs in school, near schools. I think there should not be clubs anywhere close. Let's talk about 2-kilometer radius within any school, because that is a total distraction. And we know clubs, how they play loud music, and students in high school are at a stage where they want to explore. And sometimes, you know, students will want to sneak out of school, go try some things. And these clubs provide a very good ground for them to go try these things. So I think there should be more stricter laws that govern how these clubs are established and where they should be established.
Exactly. Because so the story should not be about them playing louder music.
It should be about them being taken away from
Not
schools,
being
not close to
anywhere around.
learning institutions, because students, they are at a stage where they want to try things. And one of the things I want to try is taking alcohol.
So having
They want
a
to find
club
out.
around a school is definitely temptation.
It's
Temptations
temptation,
for the
yeah.
students, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, let's look at Daily Nation. And the story that is making headlines is Kenya's phone theft syndicate. Many Kenyans admit to having lost their phones to snatchers and muggers on motorcycles, on foot, in matatus, or at nightclubs. But the brazen tactics employed by the criminals have reached alarming levels with the stolen devices.
Have you ever lost your phone on the streets? It's been
not even
snatched from you?
Nilitolewa kwa mfuko without me knowing. So it speaks to the security of the residents of Nairobi, because there are hotspots where that have been mentioned.
Yeah, and Marie had mentioned
yes, Marie
some
had.
of
Yes,
them.
some of them are at the river, the Wilson Airport and South Sea, Rongai, Kajiado. So it speaks to the security
personnel.
Yes, the security personnel. There's something more they need to do. Even though they are trying to curb this, there's still something more that they need to do when it comes to this theft. Now, this story is continued on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation.
Yes, and on that note, I believe we should take a break,
Yes.
and then we'll come back with
Yes,
more on
with
what
more.
is happening in the headlines.
Yes.
Uko kwa mtito wanaoana na mpunga ndoa na maji.
Hiyo madhara utaniletea hapa.
Naweza kukutandika. Mimi naweza kukupiga mgoga.
Kikuja hapa matunge nikose kuku.
Wewe.
Nipatie mocha bana hiyo.
Kwanza ongea Kichina.
Kichina. Ajiu, ajiu, yamoja. Ya, ajiu.
Mtu akatoka.
Angi.
Giza giza tutafanya lile tendo, washamalizanga tembo, kinachofuata ni skendo.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa.
Shika ujaribu, si ujaribu.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa. Hii kitu inaweza toshea.
Monday tunasere tukimada repeat it. Leo tunakunywa hadi tutoke kwa news. Aya, hola.
Na imagine ilikuwa ni ngoma na inailia hapo kuna chomeka. Ni mbaya. Alafu mtu anacheka.
Wazima moto.
Hello. Niaje bro? Ni Sami Kioko ule ulikuwa unanipeleka Churchill. Hebu nikukol.
Mambo nakuwa yege, mambo nakuwa lombo, yani mambo nakuwa bravo.
Do you still remember what happened?
No, not a thing.
What? How could you forget?
No matter what happened that night, I don't remember it. You better forget too.
Let me ask you this. If you were to run into your ex in the street, how would you feel about it?
Don't try to make this about me.
Turn around, let's talk, okay? I'm not saying that we shouldn't go anywhere.
But every time I ask you about it, you act like it's gonna kill you.
Before the end of the night. Boy, when you are par with weed, a good time is guaranteed.
Skip your enemy there. Sing your one from left to right, we know the saga man there. I could no man with the whole of them are humiliate. Remember, could no man from here can bring the rap into the state. Remember?
Big, car big, house big.
We no worry about we sing for the girl.
Love you, Isabel, and I want to be with you, but every day you make it more and more difficult. You destroyed the life of my mother. She had to walk out on her children. She doesn't want us to see each other either. The worst part is that I don't know why. What do you think?
So I'd be grateful if you could give my daughter this money that I saved with great effort.
Her situation is the only thing that could save us now from being locked behind bars.
These are the moments we live for every Friday as we catch up with the world of football.
Manchester City go in front.
With your favorite stars in rivalries like no other that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Learn a few tricks that keep you ahead of the game and spice it all with unforgettable moments on Dunda Dunda. On Saturday, you're in for another treat as we rock your weekend with all sporting disciplines, bringing you insights on what's happening behind the scenes as we share players and athlete stories, preparations, and celebrate their achievements.
Charging to the line. Is it going to be a world record? Yes, it is. She smashed it.
Whatever angle you look at, we've got you covered. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner. It's a cocktail of emotions, the puns that cracks up the family, greed that yields power, and a hunger for success. Trends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living. KBC Channel 1 magazine programs strive to disseminate news and information.
Welcome to Happening in the World of Entertainment
and achievements of individuals navigating through life.
Be parts of the intelligent conversation up at KBC Channel 1.
Related to the interest of Kenyan public on various subjects of national importance.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news,
challenges, and remarkable stories of individuals with disabilities.
You have a say. Our magazine programs empower communities with words for conversations and a common language to approach the world.
For your infotainment needs, we have a great range of programs.
Music can be magical. It's the soul for life and gives immense peace to us. It has a powerful therapeutic effect on the human side. Whether secular or gospel, there's a song for everyone, every occasion, and every emotion.
God bless you.
Karibu sana. Welcome back to the program. We are Good Morning Kenya here on KBC Channel 1. My name is Mike Megwe. And we are going to tackle a topic based on establishment of county aggregation and industrial parks. And in studio today, we are happy to be joined by the PS for Industry in the Ministry of Trade, Dr. Juma Mukwana. Karibu sana to the studio.
Asante, thank you very much.
How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, feeling good.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, to start off, maybe talk a little bit about the mandate of your state department.
Thank you, Mike. The State Department for Industry is one of the oldest state departments within the government of Kenya. It has been there for quite a long time. And the main purpose is to develop policies, to work with the private sector, international community, to promote industrialization, because as you know, we have a lot, Africa and Kenya, we've been taken as a place where we have a lot of raw materials. And so without industry, it means that either you don't get the real value of those products, or you are exporting raw materials for other people to add value and then re-export back to you. So we have a number of raw materials that we have, tea, coffee, milk, pyrethrum, maize, name it, so fish. We have a lot of other, and also beyond agro industries, we also have a number of other minerals that we are, titanium, for example, we have limestone. So we have quite a bit that we can add value to, and that our work is to develop policies, to develop taxation measures, and create an environment that is conducive for us to develop our manufacturing. Yeah.
Now, let's get into the County Aggregation and Industrial Parks project. Give an overview of it and its significance to the development of Kenya.
Maybe before we come there, we can step back a little bit and say, what is the contribution of manufacturing to our GDP? 10 years ago, this contribution was quite high. It was about 20%. As we talk now, over the last 3, 4, 5 years, it has declined to 7.5. Not because our manufacturing went down, but because other sectors came up. Service sector, mobile telephone and others. So part of its decline is that we have other sectors that are now contributing to the GDP. But also globally, so that we put it in a proper context, you find that in Africa we have not done very well in manufacturing, because if you look at the world population of about 8 billion, Africa has 1.3 billion people, meaning that our proportion of the world population is 17%. But if you look at the share of manufactured products in the world that comes from Africa, it's only 3%. So we have a population of 17%. We are only manufacturing 3% of the world products. If we compare this with Europe, for example, Europe has a population of 9% of the global, but Europe is manufacturing at 25%. So you can see it is almost 3 times its size. And so as Africa, we have a challenge. If you look at it regionally within the East and Central Africa, Kenya is doing a little better than most of us. So actually you can almost say that within the East and Central Africa, Kenya is the most industrialized country. If you widen a bit to the African continent, of course we are outcompeted by South Africa. Egypt is doing pretty well, Algeria, Morocco, and Nigeria. And that's why within the Kenya Kwanza government, we have prioritized the issue of manufacturing, because this is the only place where you can create really many jobs. A factory is the only place where you can create 5,000-10,000 jobs in one place. And so when we came in, we looked at the model of manufacturing that we've been having. At independence, the model that we picked up, and because we didn't have a vibrant private sector, what the government did at independence was for the government to invest in factories. You can see the sugar factories, and we have well over 10. We invested in pan paper, for example. We invested in, we had even the bacon factory here in Uplands. We have invested as government. But what we've realized is that as things became more competitive, and we also got a lot of private sector into manufacturing, one of the areas that we found is that government is not competitive. So you'll find that a lot of the government manufacturing started to go down. So they can't compete because of decision making, because of sometimes laxity. You need a very competitive mind. So you will see that a lot of government manufacturing has suffered. So you look at the sugar industry, you look at pan paper, you look at all these factories that we had started, and many of them, Portland, will be struggling and because there's a lot of cutthroat. For example, if you look at the cement factories, when East African Portland was set up in 1933, it was the only factory in Kenya. But today you have well over 10, and it's quite competitive. So you find that because of our decision making, we don't do very well. So the model that we are promoting is multi-pronged. So our role is to make sure that the private sector comes into this space. So our policies have changed quite a bit. And one of the things that we are doing is encouraging the private sector to come into manufacturing. But also what we have noticed is that we have not demystified manufacturing. Many people see manufacturing as a place for big boys.
Yes.
You must have a lot of money. And that is okay. So we are now having two strategies. One strategy is to promote the big boys, and that's why we have the EPZs, the export promotion zones, the special economic zones for the big boys. But for the small people, we have come up with a county aggregation and industrial parks. And our target is to have an industrial park in each county. So far, this financial year, we have budgeted to finance 18.
Yes.
And the way we are doing it is that the national government is contributing 250 million. The county government is contributing 250 million, so a total of 500. The county government has to identify land, a minimum of 10 acres. And then we've already gone into construction because 41 of these have already been tendered. And the idea behind the county aggregation and industrial park is we find the raw materials in that county. If you look at Narok, then you'll say they have livestock, so we can do meat, we can do leather, we can do maize, we can do wheat. If you go to Nakuru, we are looking at pyrethrum, milk. If you go to Nyandarua, we'll be looking at potatoes. So we look at what you have. And what we are doing through this initiative is we build up industrial sheds on these 10 acres. And then we're also working with the African Development Bank and other the development partners. We put in manufacturing equipment into this shed. But this equipment does not belong to the national government and it does not belong to the county government. It is what we are calling common manufacturing facility. So if we have put up a fish processing plant in Homa Bay and Otieno has his fish, he can book a day to come and process his fish, pack it, label it very nicely, leave, and then Onyango will come and he will also process his fish and go. So which means that the model that we are developing is that for you to go into industrialization, you don't need your own factory, you don't need your own employees, you don't need your own power bills, you don't need your own electricity. All you need is your raw material and your market. So if it's in Eldoret, we are looking at milling of maize. So you bring your 500 bags of maize, we design the logos for you, we decide how many of these will be half a kilo, 1 kilo, 5 kilos. We mill your maize, we pack it for you, and you leave. And then somebody else comes and does it, which means that small people with very small money can venture into this business. And eventually our idea is that if you use this common user facility and you develop your product and the market has accepted it and you're selling good volumes, then you can think about even starting your own factory. But that's the idea, that we really want to make it easy to demystify the fact that manufacturing is for big people. And that's a model that we are looking.
Now, you've said that counties are the ones responsible in identifying land where the industrial park will be built. Is there a criteria that they will be using, or how are they going to go about that?
Yes, the counties have to find land. In fact, if they don't have land, then we don't even launch the project. And a lot of them have already found. And best way is to say that the land should be closer to the town center. It should also be quite close to the raw materials. And then remember, the industrial park has to be connected to electricity, to water, to road, to sewage, and even internet. And so we have a very clear criteria. When they find the land, we go and look at it. But we are also building something bigger than just the industrial park. For example, if you look at Kajiado, in Kajiado, the governor there has identified 200 acres near Kajiado town where he's doing the industrial park. And we're only building 10 acres. So the rest of 190 is still there. And what we have agreed then now, if you want now to do a factory in Kajiado, previously you would have gone to Kajiado, bought your land very expensively. Sometimes you're buying land from fake people, like what we have been seeing at Portland. But now what we are saying is Kajiado has an industrial area of 200 acres. This industrial park is only going to build 10 acres. So today, if you went to Kajiado, and part of the county competitiveness, we are saying if you go to Kajiado, Kajiado will tell you now that as part of our competitiveness, if you want 20 acres of land to do a factory, we will give it to you free of charge. Yes. If you want to go to Vihiga, for example, we identified land in Luanda, about 15 acres. We are only building 10. So if you want 1 acre to do your nails, to the nail production, or maybe pulp to wire, you can go there, they will give you the land, you can build your factory there, and the land will be free of charge. So basically, the county aggregation and industrial park is creating a hub for manufacturing in each county, that each county for the first time is thinking of where is our industrial area. And this industrial area will start off as a county aggregation and industrial park, but because of the land that we have, if you go to Bungoma, we have nearly 100 acres that was provided to the industrial park at Sangalo. We are only doing 10 acres. So if you go to Bungoma today and you want to build your own little sugar mill or your own little dairy factory, they will give you 10 acres free of charge. And that is something that was not happening before, because then you went to the county. The reason why many people didn't venture into manufacturing is the land is very expensive. Yes. If you go to Kajiado, an acre of land is 10 million. So if you're looking at 20 acres, that's already 200 million. Yes. Before you even build, before you do a factory. So this idea, and part of what we are developing is something called a county competitive index, that we have asked each county to tell us what are the incentives that you are giving to investors, so that if I'm an investor, why should I go to Nakuru and not Nyandarua? Why should I go to Nyeri and not Laikipia? Because Laikipia has given me more incentives. And that is exactly what we want to do. So we are creating a competition between the counties that as a governor, you have to make your county to be the most competitive place for people to invest. Because then if we have more investments going to the counties, then our GDP will start to grow, and that is how we are demystifying it.
Yes. Yeah. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be back to continue with this conversation on county aggregation and industrial parks. Stay tuned.
The inaugural African Football League, showcasing the best of African club football, kicks off on October 20th. Catch the matches live on KBC Channel 1 as Africa's best footballing talents compete in the inaugural league between 20th of October to 11th of November. Live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
Live from Broadcasting House, Nairobi, Kenya. This is KBC English Service.
Welcome to Beat Time Show, the very best of the 80s and 90s. Me, John Karani, JK.
Timeless music hits across the decades.
This is the place to be after you've had a tough day. Here we celebrate love and life.
Just watch.
The sound of KBC English Service.
I'm your host Caroline Wangishi, Carol Gatata Moshero.
My name is Jeff from Ongai B.
News, information and entertainment. KBC English Service, Kenya's official national radio.
Vijana chapakazi wenye nguvu za ziada.
My youth, uko na talent ya kusing, spoken word, kucompose jingles ama any other unexploited artistic talent. Gava through Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy na KBC sasa wame come up na project ya kupromote usanii called Studio Mashinani. Hizi ni studios ziko grassroots and they are fitted with high quality state-of-the-art equipment where you can produce quality audio and video music content for free.
What's more, wanaoffer mentorship na talanta yako itakuwa promoted on KBC Channel 1 TV, Y254 na radio stations za KBC. Tembelea studio mashinani huko Comarox, Langata, Sauti House Mombasa, Kirwara huko Gatanga, Kitui next to Manyanyoni Chiefs Camp na Kisumu City wako hapo KBC station. Usilalie talent. This is your chance to commercialize and popularize your talent through studio mashinani.
Welcome back. My name is Mike Megu, and in studio I'm having this conversation with PS for Industry, Dr. Juma Mukwana. Now, before we went on a break, we were talking about manufacturing. Now, talk about manufacturing on a larger scale.
Yes, as I said, Kenya is a leader in manufacturing in the region. But still, if you put it in real terms, you'll find that, for example, if you look at the general goods that we have in the country, 80% of all the items that we are using within Kenya are imported.
Yes.
So we are only manufacturing 20% of what we need in Kenya, but we are also manufacturing for the region. So you find that a lot of Kenyan products, if you go to DRC, to Zambia, to Tanzania, you'll find us there. So that means that there's a lot of scope. If you are only manufacturing 20%, it means 80% is being imported. That's a huge gap for us. But we are also doing quite well. If you look at the area of milling, maize, wheat, cement, for example. Now we have 9 big factories doing cement, not just for Kenya, but for the region. The steel sector, making metals for construction and other areas where we are alcohol. So automotive, if you look at our vehicle assembly, motor vehicle, motorcycles and related technology, we are quite advanced in that space. And the way we are now developing it is also we are making it easier for big boys, for big people that want to come into manufacturing. One, of course, if you look at it, is that there's a lot of tax incentives. If you are bringing a factory into Kenya, then it's duty free. We don't charge you duty. So that is something that, and also there are a lot of tax incentives. Before this government came in, we had 3 areas that we had gazetted. The export promotion zone in Athi River, which is already full with nearly 100 factories or so in Athi River. We had also come up with Dongo Kundu in Mombasa, basically manufacturing on the sea. The idea of Dongo Kundu was that if you're manufacturing for export, you manufacture right there and you just put it on the ship and it goes.
Yes.
And we had also come up with Naivasha, Special Economic Zone. Of all these 3, only Athi River was functioning. So the Dongo Kundu was an idea, Naivasha was an idea. But now we have done a few things. This financial year, we've already advertised Dongo Kundu for construction and also Naivasha. And also we have gazetted 5 new special economic zones. So now we have Sagana in Kirinyaga, nearly 1,000 acres. We have Del Monde in Thika, about 200 acres. We have Egerton University, we have Eldoret and Busia, if you want to manufacture for the region for export. And then within that space, we have created quite a number of incentives, tax, holidays on machinery. On the first 10 years, you don't pay corporate tax if you are introducing machinery. And the whole idea then is to increase our share of manufacturing. As I have said, 80% of our goods in Kenya are imported. And what that means, Mike, is that every time you import a product from another country, you export a job. Because there's somebody, if you're importing from China, it means this cup from China, somebody has been paid to do it. So that is why importation is not good. And one of the things that we've been talking to Kenyans is that I know that sometimes they say, okay, these Kenyan products may not be as good as we want them to be, but if you think about it, every time you are looking for this good quality product from another country, you're basically exporting jobs. And that is why we have ended up with a big number of young people that can't access jobs. So we now have 50-year-olds and 45-year-olds working, but their sons who are 25 are watching TV in the house the whole day because we are importing too much. And one of the other things that we've done this financial year to try and deal with that issue is that we have identified products that we think we have excess production in Kenya and added a tax. So if you want to import something that we can make, okay, we'll not stop you from importing, but we have added something called import levy. So if you look at cement, if you want to import cement, if you want to import steel, paper, furniture, we've added on a 17.5% tax to try and make what you are importing more expensive than what we are making here, so that we can sell more of our own, and the more we sell, the more we create jobs. In the next financial year, we are looking at a number of products, so we are going to increase this list of items for which we will put extra tax to more than 100. And then the money that we are collecting, that tax, we are using it to create something called industrialization fund. Remember, we already have a youth fund and we have a women fund.
Yes.
In my view, if poverty was a disease and you are solving it using the youth fund or a women fund, you are only treating the symptoms.
Yes.
It's like you have malaria, but you are being given Panadol to lower the fever. So you see, we are creating a youth fund. Why? Because the youths have no job.
Yes.
We are creating a women fund because the women have no jobs. But if you had factories, then the women will have jobs. They will not even need the women fund. They will not even need the youth fund. And so my view is that the establishment of the industrialization fund is long overdue. And so the money that we are collecting from these taxes, we are establishing an industrialization fund. And the idea behind the industrialization fund is that we are collecting this tax, we put it into a pool, we create a fund, which if you today have an idea, you want to make alcohol from sorghum, and you need a factory that costs 50 million, you can come to us, we'll give you a loan of 50 million for 25 years at 5% interest so that you can do a factory. So if that factory is going to employ 5,000 people, and another person will set up a factory that will employ 10,000 people, and another person will set up a factory that will employ 15,000 people, within 10 years, the issue of unemployment will go down. We will not even need a women fund. You will not even need a youth fund. And so that is exactly how we are playing with that space in terms of policy. And so the industrialization fund, we are now in the process of establishing it. We have already started collecting. We have money now from the export, the import levy. So the idea, if you look at it, is that the more we import, the more we tax. And then we use that money to industrialize ourselves up to a point where we will not need to import anymore. That's a balance. So that's where it's going, and we are.
So you're looking at a point where we'll reduce dependency on importing raw materials and processed materials.
Yes, in fact, importing raw materials is okay.
Yes.
Because sometimes you have a factory and you don't have enough of the raw material. So in fact, our raw materials are tax-free.
Yes.
So if you set up a factory here and you don't have raw materials within Kenya, and you have found raw materials in Tanzania, will allow you to import that raw material without any tax. The way we tax our products is, if you're importing raw materials, it is zero tax. But if you import what we call semi-processed products, for example, if you're making a motorbike and you're bringing parts, those are semi-processed. Each part is already processed. We'll charge you 10%. If you import a finished product, this cup is already finished, and we determine that we don't have enough cups, people making cups in Kenya, then we charge you 25% import duty. If you are bringing this cup and many other competitors are already producing, we charge you 35%. But now we have added on that 35, we have added another 17.5, what we are calling import levy. So we really want to make it, if you're importing something that we can make, then we'll make it very expensive, so that we can allow the people who are making these things locally to sell more. And if they sell more, they will employ more. They will pay more farmers because they are buying more raw materials from ourselves. they will also create more value for that product and create skills and technology. Because if you are processing, you are introducing new technology for adding value to that product. So it's quite advantageous, and that's the space that we are playing with.
Daktari, talk about the forward and backward linkages in the context of agriculture and manufacturing.
Yes, part of the reason why our factories have collapsed is we did not manage the backward linkages very well.
Yes.
If you look at the sugar factories within Western Kenya, Nyanza and Western, where we had a lot of sugar factories, nearly 15 of them, Soni, Muhoroni, Nzoia, Mumias, Chemiril. The challenge they had is we mismanaged the raw material producers, the farmers. Either we paid them too little, or we paid them late, or we even wanted them to bribe us for us to buy their raw material. So we mismanaged that space. And if you look at maize, for example, we've had the same problem. I was talking to a group of manufacturers, and just before this harvest, the millers in this country were buying a bag of maize for 6,500.
Yes.
But when the farmers produce maize, they go and push down and buy the maize at 2,000. So we take advantage, which means if the production cost has been determined to be about 3,000, maybe 4,000 shillings a bag, if you push down and buy at 2,000, it means that for every farmer that you're buying from, they're making a loss. So next year they will not afford to buy fertilizer, they will not buy seed, and therefore their production will continue to decline. And so what we have agreed with the manufacturers is that it is not beneficial to the manufacturer to push the farmer out of production. And so the models that we are developing now are models that will ensure that the industry survives and the farmer also survives, because the two of them cannot do without each other. And so if you look at maize today, this financial year, the government has set a price of 4,000 per bag. That's the lowest. But if you go, I come from a maize production area, I know that farmers are selling maize for 5,000, for 4,500. So for the first time, usually when you start harvesting, the price will drop. Because many people descend on the farmers, and the farmers are desperate to sell, and then we push the farmers below the production cost. This year, because of the education and the empowerment, and also a lot of private sector approach that we have introduced into the space, including something called warehouse receipt financing, where I can buy, you can go and store your maize, get a part payment, and leave your maize there for the price to go up, so that you can make a bonus the way tea farmers do. I sell tea today, but if there's more money coming in, I get a bonus. So we are introducing that within the maize sector, and you can see this year the price of maize is quite good. We are also working on cotton. If you remember, when we were growing up, we had very good cotton factories.
Yes.
Kikomi, Rivertex, Mountex, and all these things went down because we mismanaged the value chain. The farmers, sometimes they were not paid well for the cotton. This year, we've gone back for the first time. This year, we are growing 40,000 acres of cotton in Siaya, in Homa Bay, in Migori, in Kisumu, in Busia, in Bungoma, in Elgeyo Marakwet, Baringo, and on the other side, in Lamu, in Kilifi, in Kwale, Taita Taveta, and now we have 40,000. And the farmers are very excited, because remember, all of us are putting on clothes.
Yes.
But these clothes we are putting on is cotton from Indian farmers and Sri Lanka and Vietnam. So, and yet we have the soils, we have the rain, we have everything that you need to make this tie here in Kenya. And so we are going back the big way, and we are developing very sustainable value chains that ensure that farmers will be respected. So we have a digital platform where the farmers are being registered. We have the details of the farmer, including the phone number. When the payment is coming, they're not going to be paid through the chairman or the treasurer. Their money goes straight to their mobile phone, and the price that we are doing is a price that is profitable to the farmers, so that we can encourage the farmers to grow more cotton. You can imagine if all the clothes, school uniforms, the shoes that our kids are putting on, 13 million kids, if these shoes was coming from Kenya, because you can see the reason why we don't have our factories collapse is because our clothes are imported. Our shoes, we're importing leather. And yet, you know that Kenya has the third largest herd of livestock. Every year we slaughter 3 million livestock in this country. But we throw away the skin, we eat the meat. In other jurisdictions, in fact, we don't slaughter cattle for meat. Meat is a byproduct. If you go to other places, Ethiopia, for example, quite near here, we slaughter for leather. Remember, one cow can give you 20 pairs of shoes. Wow. And if a pair is going for, let's say, 5,000, that is 100,000. So this is on the lower side. So really, where the value is in the leather. And yet, here in this country, we are importing 95% of all the shoes, the bags, the belts, even seat cushions in the house and even in the vehicles. So if you look at the capacity, and it's because we mismanaged those value chains. Now we are redeveloping them back. We are encouraging more investors to come up, also invest in new technology, so that we can, actually we have the raw material. The hides and skins are there. The cotton we can grow. So what we lacked was just incentive, a clear voice that the farmers will be taken care of. Seed supply, for example. This year we've supplied all the seed that we need for cotton. We have already had a meeting with the governors, 24 of them from the counties where we grow cotton, and we have agreed in Busia next year we need 10 tons. In Siaya we need 6 tons. In Bungoma we need 12 tons. And so we are now working on this system so that the farmers have the seed, and then we are also working to develop the ginneries to gin the cotton. And remember, once you gin, you don't just get cotton. You also get cotton seed cake, which you can use as livestock feed for chicken, for dairy. So there's a lot of value before you even now get your clothes out of that.
Before you even come to adding value.
Yes.
How are the industrial parks going to help in incentivizing the farmers? Because we in as much as we want to build these industries, the farmer there, especially in the agri sector, how are we going to incentivize them through the industrial parks?
Yes, the reason why the farmers were being sometimes manipulated and given low prices was a lot of the people who are buying these raw materials were not adding value to it. So a lot of the people who are buying maize in Kitale and Eldoret are not milling. They are just moving it from one place to another. Yeah. Our idea is that if we start, you will be amused. You are in Kitale to launch the county aggregation and industrial park.
Yes.
Kitale is producing nearly 20% of all the maize produced in Kenya. That's why we call it the breadbasket of Kenya. Yes. But yet, this maize, we produce the maize in Kitale, we put it into a lorry, we take it to Mombasa, to Mombasa millers. That is something like 700 kilometers. We turn it into maize meal, and then we ship it back by lorry back to Eldoret, back to. So we are transporting 1,000 kilometers to do what? Just to mill. And so the question then is, why are we not milling maize in Kitale?
Yes.
And so the idea behind the county aggregation industrial park is let's add value at the source, so that you can imagine we can actually cut the cost of maize meal if we milled it in Kitale, so that the maize leaves Kitale as maize meal. So it's not coming to Nairobi and going back to Nakuru. You see, so today a lot of what you and me are paying for is transport cost. Yeah. If I'm going to carry maize from Kitale to Mombasa, mill it, and then transport it back to Nakuru, that maize already passed through Nakuru. Yes. If it was a finished product, we'll have dropped it in Nakuru, we'll have dropped it in Eldoret. Yes. And so part of the industrial park idea is create a demand, create value addition very close to the raw material, so that if the demand is high, the prices will be good. The farmers can associate themselves with this industrial park. It is close to them. We add value at source. And then the bigger thing that we're also doing that is coming up is that some people have said, but these industrial parks are too many. They will be producing too many products. Where would you sell them? And one of the issues that we're also working on with the ICT Ministry and Authority is to put up an online portal. So all the products we produce in Kitale, Mombasa, go there, you find we are selling belts, we are selling shoes, we are selling clothes from Rivertex. So we will be selling made in Kenya. What we are, and the whole idea is we are saying we are promoting buy Kenya, build Kenya. So there will be a portal where you can go to buy these things, and we are also going to work with the Postal Corporation, so that if you buy something online, if you buy processed fish from Lodwar today, within 24 hours it will be delivered to your doorstep.
Yes.
So we are also piggybacking and bringing in e-commerce, that you can buy anything made in Kwale and it will be delivered to your house in Kisumu within 24 hours.
Yes.
So that's the kind of value that we add.
We are continuing with the conversation with Dr. Juma Mukwana, the PS in the Ministry, the PS in the State Department of Industry in the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry. This is a conversation that every Kenyan should know about, because it's going to impact them in a bigger way, especially when these county industrial parks are established in the counties. We're going to talk about how it's going to impact the small scale farmer, the MSMEs, the bigger industries, and how counties can contribute to the GDP of this country. The conversation continues now, and as we talk about the county industrial and county aggregation industrial parks. In the context of manufacturing, there is an ambitious plan of increasing the manufacturing contribution to the GDP to 15% by 2027. That is ambitious. How are you going to achieve that?
Yes, exactly what I've been describing.
Yes.
Because currently the contribution of manufacturing to GDP is only 7.3%. We have targeted to take this to 25% in 2025 and take it to 15% by 2027. And you can see that, for example, these industrial parks, our idea is that within the coming 1 year, many of them will come into production. So we'll be not just creating value, and creating jobs, but we'll be creating new products.
Yes.
If you look at the special economic zones that I've mentioned, 5 of them, new ones, export promotion zones, and even also the issue of taxation, the fact that we are taxing you to discourage you from importing, so that we promote local production. In fact, since I see it on my desk, I think in the last 2 months, I have received like 7 new applications of people that want to establish cement factories, something like 5 new applications for people that want to do steel manufacturing, automotive assembly. So there is, because we are saying we have created a good environment for you. If you want to bring a machine to do automotive, it is duty free. And we are also discouraging those who are importing, that if you are going to import a car, then it will cost you. For example, you know that within this space called Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, all government agencies are required by law to buy 40% of all their requirements from locally made goods. So already that's a big space. And every year we produce a booklet that guides, that has a list of all the products that we manufacture in Kenya, and we are encouraging that we buy from Kenya so that we support Kenya. So it's achievable. It is something that we are pushing very hard because that is the only way that you can then create jobs for young people.
So now, how are you going to involve development partners in furthering the infrastructure development and market linkages and other areas of support in the bigger context of these industrial parks?
Yes, in this project of the County Aggregation and Industrial Park, we are working with a number of partners. As I indicated, we already have the World Bank is supporting, for example, the feasibility study to identify which product should be manufactured in which county, so that the counties are not competing. So we are saying, what is Kirinyaga going to do? What is Murang'a going to do, so that it doesn't compete with Kiambu and so on. So, for example, so we have a very clear scientific study that will identify 3 to 5 value chains for each of the counties. And remember, we are going beyond looking at agro-processing. We're not just looking at maize, wheat. We are also going beyond to look at people who want to make wheelbarrows, people that want to make jembes, people that want to make slashers and pankers, papped wire. So we are looking beyond agro-processing. Bicycles, people want to assemble that. And so we also have had an offer, for example, from Equity Bank that has put on the table 250 billion for anybody who wants a loan to buy machinery to invest in the county industrial park. The African Development Bank is quite in that space. The India Exim Bank is also interested. So we have quite a lot of stamp bid in that area.
Yes.
And so the whole idea then is to complete the construction, have the machinery, and kick off a project in each of those counties. Yeah.
So how does the ministry intend, especially your department, how does it intend to increase export of processed agriculture and livestock products from the current stagnation of 16%?
Yes, we are doing a lot of work. My counterpart from the trade, I am in industry. We have PS Kombudo that is dealing with trade. He has done a wonderful job because I know, for example, he just completed the Kenya-EU bilateral agreement. This Kenya-EU agreement has been on the table since 2013, and it had never been completed. Within 1 year, he has actually completed it. And what does that mean? What it means is that Kenya today can export to 27 countries within the European Union, duty-free, quota-free. And the number of products in question is nearly 10,000. So we have already opened the space. Within the EAC, the East African region, remember we used to have only 3 countries, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. Now we have about 7. So we have brought in Burundi, Rwanda, DRC, South Sudan, Somalia is almost coming in. And this is a market of nearly 400 million people. And Kenya is a bigger player. If you look at it, I've said we are the leader in manufacturing. So already as you open up those markets, you need more products for you to sell to South Sudan, to sell to Somalia. And so we are not just manufacturing for Kenya. Remember, we treat the common market within East Africa. The same way I sell in Kenya, I sell in Uganda, there's no tax. And Tanzania, it's a common market. And Tanzania sells to us also the same way. So the idea here is we have a common market. Whoever has the product, please move it. And so for us now, we've created this next week. You know that we have the road show to the DRC Congo. So we're taking nearly 400 Kenyan investors by road with a lot of noise and vehicles. And we are going into DRC to say what is it that we can invest. So we have a big delegation of government. About PS rules work there. And we are taking a delegation of nearly 400 investors to look at opportunities within the DRC. And so we are opening up. So we have opened up the East Africa. We are opening up also the African continental free trade. Remember, we've been trading EAC, then in Southern Africa, we had SADC, then we had the ECOWAS in West Africa. All this, we are collapsing it into one trading bloc called the African Continental Free Trade Area. Meaning that if you really want to sell to Nigeria now, and you have finished products, go ahead. And already that's why you will be very surprised that because under the AFTA, Kenya sold the first consignment of tea to Ghana. Why? Because in the past, what has happened is we sell our tea to Europe. And then Ghana, I was surprised. I went to South Africa. And you go to South Africa, the coffee that's being produced consumed in South Africa, we sell our coffee to Germany. And then South Africa buys its coffee from Germany. So that's the kind of confusion that we've had as Africa. So we need coffee, we need tea across Africa. So for the first time, we are selling tea directly to Cameroon, to Nigeria. And Nigeria can also sell here. And part of this is also opening up the visa. You saw yesterday the president opened up visa with Angola. Since this government took over, nearly 10 countries. We used to need a visa to go to South Africa, to go to Mauritius, to go to... All this is coming down because we are saying we cannot have free movement of goods without free movement of people, because people must travel to do business, and all this is tight. So, and then the final one is the U.S., the Kenya-U.S. STIP, what we are calling Strategic Partnership Agreement. This is also very, very advanced. So we are working on a very elaborate strategic agreement. Remember today, Kenya, the largest exporter, the trading partner with Kenya is the U.S., and we are selling textiles. Many people don't know that when you buy these clothes, Gucci, these nice jeans, they're actually made here in Athi River, here in Kenya. So we are selling apparels and textiles. Kenya is a leading exporter of textile, which we make here, to the U.S. And yet we import what we need here. So it's a bit of a confusion. So within that agreement, you know, for example, we have signed an agreement for Moderna to set up a factory here in Tatu City, which is a vaccine making. Remember, the whole of Africa, all these vaccines that we give to our children, we don't make one of them. We import all of it. Africa, with that population of nearly 20 million young people that need vaccination, we are importing. So we are going to put up for the first time a factory in Kenya that will make vaccines for Africa. And so this is the kind of initiatives that we are looking at. And so we are not just growing the local market, we are growing the regional market, the European market, the US market. And so we want more people to manufacture so that we can then tap into these agreements.
Talk about the industrialization conference that is.
Yes, as you can see, that there's a lot of space and speed in this. And sometimes people say, so people don't know what's happening. So what are you doing? And so between 20th and 22nd of November, we have what we call every year we celebrate what's called the African Industrialization Week. We celebrate the efforts that Africa is making in industrialization. And this year in Kenya, we have decided to put it together with the Kenya Industrialization Conference. That is 20th to 22nd of November at the University of Nairobi. This is going to be the first industrialization conference since we got independence. You can imagine. And the whole idea is for us to discuss, to bring industries, stakeholders, bring universities, bring experts from China, from India, to tell us how did India industrialize? What lessons can we learn? How did Japan industrialize? So we've brought a very exciting team. How did Europe industrialize? What mistakes did they make? What should we avoid? So it will be a very vibrant. It will be opened by His Excellency the President on 20th of November. It's a very, very vibrant place. And we are going to, this dialogue that I've given you here, we are now going to discuss in a bigger way so that we have, it's more like public participation because we have industry there, we have manufacturers.
So it will also help in the implementation of the industrial parks?
Yes. And we'll create more awareness. We have invited even the potential investors to come and listen to us, investment incentives and so on. So it will be a 3-day conference where we really want to invite everyone to come there. It is going to be a vibrant discussion. And as I've said, this is going to be the first ever industrialization conference in this country that we are. And from now onwards, we're going to do this every year. We want to do every year, so we will have resolutions for this year, which we can then implement within the coming 12 months. And then next year, we take stock of what did we agree as a country on manufacturing and what is it that we need to take on board. What can we learn from China, from India, so that we don't really have to reinvent the wheel. We can learn, we can avoid the mistakes so that we can move faster, because the dream we have, Mike, is to make Kenya the most industrialized country in Africa. That's a dream. We know that it's ambitious, but we are up to the task.
It also fits within the Vision 2030 for Kenya.
Yes. And as I've said, we are already doing quite well. We have identified areas where we have made mistakes in the past, including allowing importation where we should not have allowed them, mismanaging of farmers and raw material suppliers. Yeah. So we are addressing all those issues, and it's good for us to meet, to share the lessons that we have in that space so that we can do a good job. We can take care. Industrialization will not take place if there are people that are not happy with that system. So we want the farmers to be happy, we want transporters to be happy, we want manufacturers to be happy, we want the consumer to be happy, because if you have good competition, we'll produce high quality products at good prices, and that can compete not just within Kenya, but within the region. As I've said, you see Uganda is also manufacturing, Tanzania is manufacturing, so we need to make our products more competitive. So that is part of the conversation that we want to say. How do we make Kenyan-made products more competitive so that we can not just sell within the East Africa? Now we have a market for the whole of Africa. That's 1.3 billion people. So basically, the idea is we have opened up the market. We sell what you can, if it's competitive, if it's good quality. So really that's where it's going. And Kenya would like to play a big role in both in the East African and in the African and even the global space, because currently we are already exporting a number of goods to the EU, you know that, flowers, horticulture, and we are doing tea, coffee, and we want to go beyond that to bring in other non-traditional products as well.
It will be an eye-opening industrialization conference. Even the farmers in Quisero or anyone from the small-scale farmers are welcome to attend the conference.
Yes. For example, I know there's a group from Vihiga that is working on something called, I think they're making natural sweeteners. If you want to sweeten your tea without sugar, there's a group that's growing and actually making a lot of that, and So we have a lot of exhibitions. So it will not just be speaking. Factories and companies will be exhibiting their latest technology, the products that they are producing, including the farmers that are producing high value, different commodities. And so it's going to be a nice interaction. And if you're looking for raw materials, the farmers will also be there that are producing some of the raw materials. You can sign up contracts with them to start producing some of those products. So it's an all-encompassing conference, and it's the first one of its kind, and we want to take this opportunity to welcome the media, the manufacturers, both private and public, farmers groups, cooperatives, to come and really show what they are doing. If you have a raw material and you don't have a market, this is a place to come and say, we have 3,000 farmers, we can grow this to 6,000 farmers, we can produce for you this raw material, please do a contract with us. So it will be a business we will be sealing deals, business deals there.
Yeah.
And
it
so
will not just be a conference of...
No. It has to add value to everyone that will come there.
Yes. Now, in your own assessment as we wind up, how do you think the industrialization parks will impact, the general impact on the country, regionally and globally?
This is going to put Kenya on the industrialization map, because no other country has had this ambitious plan. If you have 47 manufacturing hubs across the country, and each of these counties manages beyond these parks to attract another 3-4 factories, we definitely would say, if it worked well the way we are planning it, within 5 to 10 years, this will be the most industrialized part of Africa, because no other country has had that ambition. And the good part of it is that these parks are not being funded. We have partners that are coming in, but they are primarily, this financial year, the government of Kenya is putting in 4.7 billion. And we are hoping to put in 4.7 billion every year for the next 5 years. Nobody else has done that. We have never funded industrialization. We have been printing nice papers and nice policies and leaving them there. This time, we're not just printing papers, we are printing papers and we are developing ideas, and these ideas are getting funded so that we can actually move from paper to action. You can imagine, Mike, if from 1963 we had created an industrial park in each county, and by now, let's just say, even if you have one factory in each of the 47, even just employing 5,000 people, that's a lot. That's 250,000 people. That is the kind of opportunity that we are missing, and that will cut back a lot of the things that we are importing. We are importing because we neglected manufacturing, but we are saying we are not going to neglect it anymore. So as we build our manufacturing, we'll close the taps of importation, and we want to open the taps of export and also buying Kenya, build Kenya. So the message I want to take to Kenyans is, however bad you think a Kenyan product is, let's build it. When we started in 1990s, when Kenya produced the first Nyayo Pioneer car, India was producing the Mahindra car. When President Moi was launching the Nyayo Pioneer, India had just launched the Mahindra, the one that was smoking and people were laughing at it. Today, 30 years down the line, look at Mahindra. It is a world-class car. Our Nyayo Pioneer did not move because we thought it was not good. So my parting shot is, we shall only grow manufacturing in Kenya if Kenyans can learn to appreciate Kenyan-made goods. So we want us to be selfish. Please buy what is made in Kenya, because that is what puts food on the table. That's what employs your son. That's what employs your daughter. That's what employs your neighbor.
Asante sana Daktari. Thank you for coming to Good Morning Kenya and sharing information concerning the industrial parks.
Thank you.
We have been talking to Daktari Juma Mukwana, who is the PS, State Department for Industry, as he has told us about the establishment of county aggregation and industrial parks. This has been very enlightening, and we are going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more. Keep it KBC. This is Good Morning Kenya.
giza giza tutafanya lile tendo, washamaliza ngatembo, kinachofuata ni skendo.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa.
Shika ujaribu, si ujaribu.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa. Hii kitu inaweza toshea.
Monday tunasere tukimada repeat it. Leo tunakunywa hadi tutoke kwa news. Aya, hola.
Na imagine ilikuwa ni ngoma na ilia hapo kuna chomeka. Ni mbaya. Alafu mtu anacheka.
Wazima moto.
Hello. Niaje bro? Ni Sami Kioko ule ulikuwa unanipeleka Churchill. Ebu nikukol.
Mambo nakuwa yege. Mambo nakuwa lombo, yani mambo nakuwa bravo.
Do you still remember what happened?
No, not a thing.
What? How could you forget?
No matter what happened that night, I don't remember it. You better forget too.
Let me ask you this. If you were to run into your ex in the street, how would you feel about it?
Don't try to make this about me.
Turn around, let's talk, okay? I'm not saying that we shouldn't go anywhere.
But every time I ask you about it, you act like it's gonna kill you.
He has forgiven me and he wants things to work between us. That's because he loves me.
And you? Do you also love him?
If anything happens to my sister or me, that statement is going to be delivered to the proper authorities.
It's about time you understood that not everyone you deal with will do your bidding.
Olga.
Get out!
You'll have enough time to comply with the reforms needed at the public clinic. There it is.
This is impossible.
You want to see your son. That's what you have to do.
KBC Channel 1 magazine programs strive to disseminate news and information.
Welcome to Happening in the World of Entertainment
and achievements of individuals navigating through life.
Be part of the intelligent conversation up at KBC Channel 1.
Related to the interest of Kenyan public on various subjects of national importance.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news,
challenges, and remarkable stories of individuals with disabilities.
You have a say.
Our magazine programs empower communities with words for conversations and a common language to approach the world.
For your infotainment needs, we have a great range of programs.
Music can be magical. It's the soulful life and gives immense peace to us. It has a powerful therapeutic effect on the human psyche. Whether secular or gospel. There's a song for everyone, every occasion, and every emotion.
God bless you.
It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living. These are the moments we live for every Friday as we catch up with the world of football.
Manchester City go in front.
With your favorite stars in rivalries like no other that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Learn a few tricks that keep you ahead of the game and spice it all with unforgettable moments on Dunda Dunda. On Saturday, you're in for another treat as we rock your weekend with all sporting disciplines, bringing you insights on what's happening behind the scenes as we share players and athlete stories, preparations, and celebrate their achievements.
Charging to the line. Is it going to be a world record? Yes, it is. She smashed it.
Whatever angle you look at, we've got you covered. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
And welcome back once again to Good Morning Kenya. We continue with this program. And as we promised you, the program is packed with interesting topics, fascinating guests. And as at now, we are looking at transformative leaders. And today, we're going to explore a topic based on chaplaincy and mentorship. We're looking at exploring the influence of chaplaincy and mentorship in our schools across the country. And to help me with this conversation in studio, I'm joined by Captain Rogers Munene, who Captain Rogers is an academic discipline counselor, leadership capacity building trainer, and a character or moral mentors to teens and youth. He is also a published author. He has authored 2 books, one of which is My Grade, My Project, and the other one is Youth and Love Life. Karibu sana to the program.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
Yes. To start off, could you tell us about yourself and your journey in ICT and how you found yourself in chaplaincy and mentorship in high schools?
Thank you. Rogers Munene is my name.
Yes.
I come from Kericho County.
Yes.
After going through primary school and high school, I was trained in information technology and started off as a computer studies teacher. Not that my interaction mostly was with youth and teenagers, I learned there is a gap. I felt a need of sharing my story, now that I'd also overcome a myriad of challenges, both domestically and socially. Mm-hmm. And as I interacted with young people in classes that I handled, I learned there is quite some gap between our youth and teenagers and our children and their parents. I felt a need of sharing a bit of my story to them, that they may overcome a myriad of challenges they are facing, and also fine-tune issues, morality about them. Apparently, the moral fabric is torn. We are having professionals who don't have morals in them. So I felt a need of coming in, and that's where the youth mentor was born.
Yes. So you talk about your personal challenges. Could there be one or two challenges that stood out that made you make this decision of, you know what, I want to go this direction, even though I'm trained in ICT? What are those experiences, specific experiences that made you decide to venture into chaplaincy and mentorship?
Yes, sure. One of it is family dysfunctionality. The other one being issues, being a teenager. At times, we could easily be forced to compromise and be negatively influenced by our peers. And the other one was ridicule. I remember when I was going through primary school and high school, I had a nickname. My nickname was Blackout. It was Rebo, the darkest boy in class. And anytime we went acting was made, I'm the one who would be picked to act as a devil in the school place.
Because you're black.
Yeah. People are not black, we are dark. Fear of flame, not of flame. Anyway. So I felt our young people and our children are suffering from unspoken emotional issues. Issues they cannot share with their parents in fear of misjudgment, and they cannot share with their teachers in fear of victimization. Wait until somebody else comes in and they find somebody to share with. I was able to overcome my challenges when I got a mentor, when I got somebody that I could share with. That's what I could not share with my parents, with anyone. I could not share with my teachers. And those were issues that were affecting my academic well-being. They were affecting my morals. They were affecting my discipline. When I got a mentor, I was able to share and was encouraged. I was given direction and all that.
Yes. You have a training in theology, right?
Yes.
How does that help you? How did that help you learn this role? And what does it mean to be a captain in this context? Because you call yourself Captain Rogers. How does that fit in?
I've been very eloquent and articulate, very bold in public speaking late from when I was young and growing. In nursery school, I served as a porridge prefect, growing forth and forth. And so when I started talking to students in assemblies when I was a student, or other people, I've much later realized one of the ways of fine-tuning my talent into a career is taking a course that aligns with that what I'm called to do. And that's when I went to the Church Army of Africa. Church Army of Africa is a Coastal College of St. Paul's University, found in Jogoro in Nairobi, and was trained in theology and specialized in school chaplaincy. I was commissioned by the Church Army of Africa to serve as a captain. And so I've been doing a lot of freelancing ministry, working very closely with our schools, working very closely with the church, but with an ideal of reaching out to our youth and teenagers, that I may understand how best to handle them, not as an ICT, but as a theologian, as somebody who's trained in counseling and such.
Now, we are talking about mentorship and chaplaincy. What is the importance of both, especially in our high schools?
What was supposed to replace corporal punishment? Remember, during my time, there was corporal punishment.
Yes.
The six of the best.
Zilikuwa zinaitwa kasita.
Ulikuwa unachapwa, ukilia unachapwa unyamaze, ukinyamaza unachapwa ulie, kisha unasamehewa.
Yes.
Remember those days?
Yeah.
What was supposed to replace corporal punishment was effective guidance and counseling and orthodox spirituality and mentorship. However, unfortunate, I'm not a policy maker in the midst of education. I'm only a support system as a consultant. Unfortunately, when we did away with corporal punishment, we did not inject effective guidance and counseling in our schools. And as such, the guidance and counseling teacher is also overloaded with the engagements or assignments entrusted to them by the employer, the Teacher Service Commission, by the institutions. Some of them are serving as subject teachers, class teachers for masters and mistresses and such. And much of their work would be in matters, syllabus coverage, and production of results. And you can be sure, because they'll also be served as teachers on duty during the week, they'll have the strokes, they'll have the cane, they'll have to push students a little.
Yes.
And so these students will jeopardize their position as counseling teachers. And that's why we bring in chaplaincy and counseling. And I feel the future of our schools is establishment of effective guidance and counseling programs and chaplaincy, where we have somebody placed in a school who does not necessarily go to classes to teach, and if they do, they only go to teach non-examinable subjects like life skills, but their major job description is taking care of morals, discipline, chaplaincy, that's spiritual nourishment, and counseling of a student. That way, students will be able to speak out. That's what affects the academic performance. And let me say this.
Yes.
Quite a number of our schools are now becoming rehabilitation centers. The only place where our students can find life, the only place where students can find somebody to correct them ought to be in a school. So many of us parents, and I put myself there because I'm a parent,
yes,
are making our schools dumping sites. We dump our children and expect the results after all is said and done. Now, students are breaking for about 2 months December holiday. Where will they be at? Parents, we are getting too busy, waking up early in the morning, checking late, and you're dumping our students to gadgets. You're dumping our students to exposures to that what is destructive. By the time students open in first term, you can be sure they will be so damaged, both emotionally and such.
Yes.
Who do they go and speak out to?
Yes.
On this imagination that immediately they open, we have a syllabus to cover, we have examination to take care of, and remember, the promotion of a teacher is tied into the improvement index of the students they're taking care of. Will the teacher be able to handle morals, or will they first give attention to syllabus coverage and production of results? And that's where chaplaincy and mentorship comes from. I'm happy that God has raised us and quite a number of my colleagues all over this country, that we are visiting schools, courtesy of the Ministry of Education, the Kenya Secondary School Health Association, and the KEPSHA, that we may reach out to our students and complement the work that the teachers are doing in offering psychosocial support programs to our students.
So you are a support system, yes, as you have said.
You're right.
Now, how do you work with Ministry of Education? Do you apply to go to schools, or what happens for you to, let's say for instance, you are going to a school in Murang'a. What happens? Do you identify a school, or you are called by the ministry?
Well, one, it's approval. That there are people who have been identified and given the approval to work very closely with schools. Remember, not everyone can have doors open for them to get to schools and engage students. So it starts with approval. The other one is networking, that we have got quite a number of school administrators and the directors in the Ministry of Education in different capacities who keeps on recommending us to different schools that we may be able to go and come some challenges. And others are direct invitations by school administrators, depending with the challenges that they are having. And the other one is recommendation by the churches. Some churches have sponsored some schools. And so the spiritual authorities in the churches will at times give us platforms to go and engage with schools. But now with the large network, you can be sure we are not even enough, because there is a lot that needs to be done. Yesterday I was in a school. Last evening I was in a school. After this I'm headed to a school. So you can be sure there is a lot that needs to be done, and doors are open for us.
Now, you address emerging issues affecting growth and development of the youth and teens. What are the most pressing challenges in your own view that you have encountered in your work, and how do you help young individuals navigate through these things?
Thank you for that question. One, you can be sure that education is very selfish. One cannot mix up education with other issues and sail through. Those who are watching me and our parents can confirm this. We are getting worried that our boys and girls are performing very well at KCPE, and they're getting places in very good secondary schools. By the time they're getting themselves to Form 2s, they're really dropping. And the question is, what exactly is happening? Our schools becoming reducing agents. That boy who could perform very well, that girl who could perform very well at KCPE or other in primary school cannot perform as well in high school. Why is it that the best boy in KCP nationally or the best girl in KCP nationally is never the best boy or girl in KCC 4 years down the line? And I can tell you, is because of these emerging issues affecting students. Let me give you a case study. I recently visited a school, and the very good principal gave me an office after a 1 and hour talk, and requested the boys to come greeting me, that we may have an informal talk. The first boy came, hey, gota, niaje, akaniita bazoo. Nilikuwa nafikiria bazoo ni salamu, nikamwambia bazoo sana. You know this language that students are using.
You said bazoo sana?
Yes. I thought greetings, you know, this language that they're using, and you have to get to that line. And this boy told me of how he admires me. He told me since he saw me, he really loved me, he admired me. Only for me to learn that this boy who is in Form 3 and 408 marks at KCP is a gay and wants a sexual relationship with me, wants an intimate relationship with me. You can be sure that student cannot give attention to matters academics until that is taken care of.
We are going to come back to that, but we are going to take a very short break. We'll be back after this.
The inaugural African Football League, showcasing the best of African club football, kicks off on October 20th. Catch the matches live on KBC Channel 1 as Africa's best footballing talents compete in the inaugural league between 20th of October to 11th of November. Live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner.
It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living. Technology has become a crucial part of our society. Without technological advancements, so much of our everyday lives would be drastically different. As technology develops, it strives to fulfill the changing needs of society. This means that technology exists to help us achieve the things that we wouldn't be able to achieve without it. Take on Tech looks at the advantages and downside of technological innovation in a world that is becoming increasingly dependent on new digital technologies. Every Monday at 10:30 p.m.
Karibu tena sana. Welcome back. We are exploring the influence of chaplaincy and mentorship in our schools nationwide. And we are having this conversation with Captain Rogers Monene. And before we went on a break, Rogers, we were talking about emerging issues. Maybe you can continue on the point.
Yes. As I said earlier,
yes,
education is very selfish.
Yes.
We can't mix education with something else and succeed. You can be sure our boys and girls in schools are overexposed.
Yes.
And simply because possibly parenting trends, parents are no longer hands-on. I was brought up at a time there were rules and regulations in the house. I was brought up at a time there was communal parenting. Parenting was communal. Every other person could have punished you for whatever reason. And eventually would have shared with your parents, and your parents would have punished you, and also shared with your teachers.
Yes.
And as such, we were able to overcome a myriad of emerging issues that could hit us at that time. Currently, we have left our children to the exposure of gadgets, internet, television set, music, irresponsibility in matters, relationships, and we are not able to curb them. Other control. So one of the emerging issues, as I said, that is LGBTQ, that is apparently eating our schools so bad. And that's the pain of every other school administrator and every other teacher. And you can be sure it's affecting students so much. I'm thinking about this boy who approached me for an intimate relationship, this gay boy who is informed in a national school. Presume that boy does well at KCC and proceeds to take medicine or law or aviation or whatever he gets to in professionally. What kind of a professional will that end up being? So LGBTQ is an issue that is badly hitting our schools. The moral fabric is so torn, and you're losing our children so much into that. Now, the role of a teacher is, because of the pressure given to them by the employer, is to see to it that the students perform well academically, to whom that those students who are having such issues run to. The other one is family dysfunctionality, the family trends. Apparently, relationships are badly hitting us.
Yes.
I've had cases where a child who is in a school has a mother, and the mother has a husband who is not the biological father to this boy.
Yes.
But the father, the biological father, is there, having been married. And so this child has a mother, has the very father, has the stepfather, and has a stepmother. You get that kind of an arrangement. And the biological father is still hands-on because of co-parenting. And you can be sure anytime this student is in school, they are broken. They even don't know where to run to, who to run to, and all that. Leave that. Think of this kind of an arrangement where the boy is home, and they're going to experience this in the next 2 months. They will be home. The man who pays electricity is not the one who pays the house bill.
Yes.
Is not the one who does shopping.
Yes.
And the mother has exposed this child to quite a number of men until he's so confused, doesn't know who is the father and all that. And then the boy is submitted, the girl is submitted to school to the hands of a teacher who expects that boy or girl to perform well academically. So family dysfunctionality is there, and the parenting trends that are there. The other one is addiction to music and technology. You'll be shocked to realize that our boys and girls in schools have crammed music more than the periodical table.
Yes.
They have crammed soap operas more than that what is constructive in matters of academic well-being, more than what is constructive in their spiritual well-being, more than what is of validation to their growth and development. And you can be sure when they go back to school, they are so broken. Their mind is clogged with so many issues that they are not able to give a balance between and the academic well-being.
How then does your chaplaincy and mentorship programs break this cycle?
Well, when we visit schools, we would give very informal talks to students about academic discipline. I've done a book to that effect about academic discipline, where we have been able to identify about 20 academic disciplines that affect students and solution to each of them. And so when you go to schools, we are given platforms, at times without even disrupting the school learning programs. Some of them could be early in the morning, some of them could be over break time or lunch time, others could be the evening after classes, others could be the evenings after supper time to them that are in boarding schools under the supervision of the school administrators because of quality assurance. And we informally interact with students. We do the collective talks on different issues affecting students, and the other one are the one-on-one consultations where students now voluntarily approach us to confide in us that's what they're going through. And after all is said and done, we are able to do an evaluation. Are they developing in matters their morality, in matters their character and well-being, and also in their academic results? And you go to my book, you get to see quite a number of testimonies sent to me by students who tell me I went to their school, they're performing very dismally, we engaged. I never took them through the curriculum subjects. I never took them through mathematics, languages, sciences, humanities, and all what they're taken to by the teacher. What did I do? I complimented the teacher by helping the students debrief the clutter and get rid of any issue that is limiting them from concentrating with matters academics. And so chaplaincy and mentorship comes in handy that when students go to class, they are mentally well taken care of. Simply, we take care of their mental health and mental well-being.
Yes. As you had said earlier, students are more likely to share their problems with their peers. And in most cases, the advice they get is not always the best. So how do you compare a student sharing his problems or her problems with her peers? How does that affect their own well-being?
No, when we talk about mentorship, we speak about mentorship being God's pattern of accomplishment. Mentorship speeds up accomplishment. Is a way of making a man out of a boy, a lady out of a girl, a boss out of a servant. Mentorship is holding the hand of somebody and growing with them. No, when when peers share with each other, you can be sure the person they are sharing with is of their age bracket and may not be exposed. Actually, when I'm teaching about mentorship, I advise us to subscribe and give ourselves to mentors who are older than us, who are more established than us in all aspects. When you go to the Bible, you realize Apostle Paul, when Apostle Paul is mentoring Timothy and Titus, he is doing that with all the authority because one, he is older than them, more established than them. In matters life, he has been more exposed than Timothy and Titus. So when we give ourselves to people of our age, they can only influence us. Look at me, my host. Wave at me. Wave at me.
Yes.
Love your chin. Is that your chin?
I don't know.
Why have you been fast to love your hair?
Because
that's what I've done.
Yes.
You can be sure when you give ourselves to our peers, they are likely to influence us to comfortably do what is wrong at the expense of what is right. Wait until we give ourselves to people who are older than us, more established than us. There is that issue of respect. There is that issue of submission. There is that issue of the people we are looking up to are people whose our future is their past. Where we headed to is where they're coming from. And so we are able to submit and give ourselves to them. And so in as much as we also train peer counselors in school, we empower some few students of goodwill with skills that will help them counterattack a myriad of challenges that their peers are going through. You can be sure it's not as effective as when we have empowered and helped students give or rather share with people who are more established than them. Name them teachers, parents, mentors, spiritual authorities, and any other person who can be trusted with students. And that's why we are coming in.
In as far as chaplaincy and mentorship is concerned, we are looking at a school setting where there are teachers, non-teaching staff, and the student. Now, do you only focus on students specifically, or do you engage the teaching staff?
it's all rounded. I am a member of the National Association of Christian Chaplains, that a body that brings together all chaplains that are serving in different institutions and entities, including the discipline forces, hospital chaplaincy, school chaplaincy, college chaplaincy, and such, that we may give attention not only to that student in a school setup, but to every other person, including the school administrator in the name of the principal, the head teacher. You can be sure they're human beings who are under a lot of pressure. Who prays with them? To whom do they share with? Who visit their office to have a cross-job meeting just to speak out the issues that are affecting them right from home? You can be sure, because you're human beings, even us ourselves, as we go reaching out to these students, we have our own battles and issues. And at times we go venting to students. More than once we have diverted. Students tell me that a certain teacher got to class and took the first 30 minutes venting to them. You know, trying to declutter and debrief and speak out what's disturbing them in the class setup. And so chaplaincy is not just about the student. Every other person needs this. Every other person needs counseling. And counseling is not because somebody has a problem, but it's also because we need to be helped to gather ourselves up, debrief, and get the social support that we need to progress on. Because we are all emotional beings, and you're broken in one or another. And we are likely to go and vent to the wrong persons, and eventually cause more damage than it should have been. So we give attention to every other person.
Let's talk about social media and your work. Chaplaincy and mentorship. How have you utilized the digital space to enhance your efforts in mentoring and chaplaincy?
One of the home of all evils is the social media. But by the grace of God, we have been able to establish pulpits in the social media and the platforms where people can be able to access us, get to know what we are doing, that they may engage us. We use it for dispatching information. We use it for networking. We use it to create awareness that there is a lot of good things that is happening, even at such a time that the moral fabric is torn, even at such a time that you have a poverty generation. And so social media has helped us so much. However, unfortunate is that the same platform can also be very destructive because of, like now we are talking about the data protection. We need to be very careful even as we give information about where we are and what we are doing and giving faces of our delegates because of such kind of things. Again, to our clients, the teenagers and the youth, they may not be very constructive in usage of social media. They go there, they get overexposed. The overexposure that they get out of that is what now they bring to us or they bring to school, and that affects the academic performance, and we are called in to try to curb and all that. Like now we are sitting on a time bomb, schools have closed, and I know one of the worries of the teachers is where will their children go to. But a good number of schools and teachers are using the same platform to dispatch information and study materials and examinations, and a lot of academic work will be happening using the same platform. So there are pros and cons, and we are useful. We are there to help fine-tune and help people use those platforms well.
With students, we talk about character and morals. How specifically does chaplaincy help in developing their morals and character in education setting?
Well, education setup ought to help us get to professionalism. If someone does very well academically, gets themselves the very good marks they can get a KCP, proceed to high school and get themselves the way that we need, and eventually they go to the university and give us first-class honors and become the very best professional, but they don't have morals and characters. What will we get out of that? So we come into advocating to this, and I say this: we rather have students who are performing poorly, but they have morals, they have discipline, they have character in them, more than having students who are performing very well, yet they don't have morals, discipline, and characters. We know, you and I know, so many people are well educated in this country, but they can't be trusted with anything. They can't get themselves jobs and sustain them. They can't be given any kind of money and sustain them. But we also know very well there are people who are not educated, but they have discipline, they have morals, they have character in them. They have God in them. And whatever they set themselves to do attracts a lot of fortune their way. And they have become millionaires, they have become employers of so many people and such. And you can be sure that is one of the things that is affecting even leadership in this country. We have people who are morally drained, being entrusted with positions of leadership. And what's happening? Eventually we end up losing it. So this is our way of raising another generation of people who will be trustworthy, who can be trusted with even the smallest of assignments. I don't know whether you know, currently, we're even lacking people that you can entrust with a shop. You open a shop and you want to employ somebody who can run the shop for you, you get no one who can be trusted with that shop. Even house girls. I remember one time I had a house girl in my house who was able to save the little that we could give her, and she went to, she ended up going to a teacher's training college. She's now a primary school teacher employed by the Teacher Service Commission, is doing very well. I mean, the little that she could get, she could not just go misusing it. She was well brought up. She knew how to take care of this. And eventually they ended up becoming of value addition to their life. And so that's why we are coming into a lot of people, that even as we pursue our interest in matters academic well-being, we also need to have people who have discipline, morals, and characters. I know of a boy who got himself an A- in his school, went to the University of Nairobi School of Medicine. Presumably, he joined at the age of 18. Presumably, by the time he was 25 to 6 years, he was supposed to have become a medic. By the time he was in his second year, first semester, the guy was arrested with 2 of his other classmates. Wakuwa na bangi ya 10 million Kenya shillings. Police house. To the court, 10 years imprisonment. Today he sells Mera. He should have become a doctor, he's now a patient. What would be the need of getting that good grade, yet they don't have morals and discipline characters in them? And so that's why you're coming in to try to restore a new software in the systems of our children, that they may end up adding value in that what they are doing in life.
You're not only a chaplain and a mentor, you're also a published author. One of your books is called My Grade, My Project. And so can you give a glimpse of what this book entails?
Yes. My Grade, My Project book is about academic discipline. I wrote that book during the COVID-19 pandemic season, the year 2020, when we had a lot of time to ourselves. And I reflected into what is it that makes us fail in this life. You can be sure it's the small things, not the big things. We are told, those of us who are in business, we are told, take care of the coins, then those who take care of themselves. What does that tell you? The small things.
Yes.
Those of us who are in marriage, we are told, the small things are the ones who can either make or break that relationship. Those of us who are in education, you can be sure what makes us fail is vidogo. So in that book, I've been able to identify 20 academic disciplines and a solution to each of them. Laziness, destructive peer pressure, time mismanagement, addiction to gadgets, technology and modernity, and such kind of things. 20 academic disciplines and solution to each of them that I may try to help students give attention to that what is of value addition and do quality education more than quality education that will make them not do well. I've also helped students learn and know how to maintain and develop a good desire for education. Handling and tackling examinations and such. So My Grade, My Project is a book purely on academic discipline. Let me give a testimony sent to me by students. At the back of this book, I put an album showcasing the very many schools that we have been to, interacting with students. And after the album, I've done some testimonies. These are these. A student writes me a message after KCSE results of the year 2021 are released and tells me, my name is so-and-so, I was in this school. A week before KCSE, I was registered to be a low performer because I had a D+. A week before KCSE. Then she tells me, I thank you for you came and encouraged me and told us not to lose hope. In KCSE, I managed to get a B-. And I'm being asked, what magic did I do with that student? Not any magic. Give them encouragement, help them get rid of any emotional drainage they were going through, and focus in matters academics. Another tells me I went to their school, they were getting D's, we engaged in matters academic discipline, and they moved from a grade D to a grade C, which ended up a strong C+ in KCSE. I remember this boy. I went to school and he approached me and told me that he's so talented in music. He actually told me he has composed 26 songs. And the song was Miracle Temba na Kora Ko Yo. You know these songs that these guys are doing that are more or less insults and something like that. And they're giving themselves so much to that. I told him, my brother, let's first give attention to academic discipline. The boy moves from grade D to grade C, KCSE gets a C+. And he tells me, as I'm writing to you, I'm partaking a degree in music education at the University of East African Marathon in Kericho County. Now I call him and I'm asking him, where are the 26 songs? Naambia wewe ulikuwa ujinga. That was time mismanagement.
Yes.
Ameenda kusoma music education, is able to give attention to that, what helps him even add an extra coin even before he has graduated.
Yes.
And so this book is purely on academic discipline.
There's another book you've written, Youth and Love Life. Now, I want to know, how can youth use this book to navigate through interpersonal relationships?
One of the biggest time bombs of all time are matters and relationships. The people that you bring to your circles can only either make or break you.
Yes.
Power of influence.
Yes.
We are product of our friends.
Yes.
We are an average of our 5-6 friends. If your friends are 5 idiots, you're going to be the 6 idiots. You can be sure. And so the book You the Love Life does not only speak about the relationship, the boy-girl relationship, but it's all overall relationship, starting with God, to our parents, to our elders, to our peers, and the climax of it is a boy-girl relationship. And in that book, I'm telling young people and every other person, the very first indicator of love is respect. Whoever does not respect you does not love you. And so it's a book to help us know how to develop and relationships that are of value, addition, that are making us stronger, finer, and better, more than relationships that are destructive and will make us end up regretting after all is in the done.
People or students with access to mentors are more likely to succeed. How true is that statement? And could you elaborate on how mentorship programs contribute to academic achievement and career readiness?
You said them that have mentors are likely to perform and do much better than them that don't have mentors. Mentorship, as I said earlier, is first tense establishment. Is a way of making a man out of a boy. When you give yourself to a mentor, that mentor holds your hand and shares their story with you. I'm just about to release my that book entitled Probation Before Promotion, Every Glory Has a Story. When you give yourself to me as a mentor, and I'm more established than you can be sure, you realize you've always been admiring me. Somebody may look at you, Tipoem, and think possibly you just come from up there to be where you are.
Yes.
But there is a lot more that you puzzle to end up becoming where you are. Young people of this generation, so many people want to get to places of establishment, but they don't want to trust the process of growth.
Yes.
And so that's why mentorship comes in to help people get to establishment. You brought matters academic well-being there. When a student gives themselves to a professional mentor, possibly their desire is to become a doctor or rather a medic, and so they have a medic mentor. What will happen? The medic will tell them the do's and don'ts, and that what is so hidden, far from the title, that will help somebody end up getting there. So many people have been wasted in professions. We go to colleges and universities to take courses that you're not even called to do in the first place. Why? Because we lacked the career mentorship. Because we lacked some people to open up our eyes into that what it was. I have a story of a young man who wanted to become a medic. Wait until they're taken to the morgue. They're taken to the morgue to, it's called body anatomy or something like that, medically. And he runs away, he gets mad. He didn't see that coming. I mean,
after seeing a cadaver.
We also had the cases of young people quitting college. Then goes to the parents and tells the parents, that was your course. Let me now go take my course.
Wow.
And you can be sure those are very few. Most of them end up getting wasted. Personally, in my case, I was trained in information technology. Then I felt I'm not designed or developed for computers. I'm supposed to be reaching out to human beings. And changed course from ICT, was an ICT tutor and teacher, left that and embarked on what I'm doing. And I find a lot of passion in it. I find a lot of joy in it because I'm so called into it. It's in my branch team, it's my DNA ministry, it's my heartbeat ministry.
Yes. So how can parents and the community at large help in strengthening the chaplaincy and the mentorship programs in schools?
This is a charge. One, a charge to the boards of management. We start from there because schools are managed by boards of management. And also the sponsoring churches to consider engaging full-time chaplains in our schools. And I call upon parents to support the same programs, that they may have somebody to speak out to. To those schools that don't have chaplains, I know there are pastors who offer pastoral programs and such. I would encourage parents to go and give their daughters and sons to some teachers of goodwill or somebody of goodwill who has access to the school, that they are able to reach out to students, that students may speak out to that what they cannot share with their teachers or even them parents in fear of victimization.
Now, looking forward, what are your goals and aspirations in your future work with students, especially in chaplaincy and mentorship in our schools?
I'm pursuing school chaplaincy. I'm pursuing, I'm a freelancer myself. I work with all the schools as doors open. After this, I have an engagement in a school in Nairobi. Later in the evening, I'll be traveling to a school in Embu. I'm freelancing. But in the coming days, I look forward to getting myself to either high school or even college or university chaplaincy, even as we pursue further training in the same.
Now, how can people access your guidance and resources?
Well, one of the easiest ways of accessing me is through the social media, Facebook. Go to Facebook, search for Rogers Monene, R-O-G-E-R-S Monene, and you get me. Go to information, you get all my other contacts, including my cell phone number, and you can be able to reach me. I may not be able to respond to phone calls anytime, but I can be able to respond to a message, to a chat, or something like that through my messenger or even direct call. But all my contacts can be found very easily through searching Rogers Monene. It's my Facebook page.
As we wind up, I'd love for you to give a message to the young people in Kenya, especially those that are watching you right now. What is your message?
One message that I would want to give my younger brothers and sisters is that the difference between there where you are and where they are, the difference between here and there is letter T, time. They need to be very patient. Very patient and persistently patient.
Yes.
Not haphazard and mixed up in so many things. Yes. Number two, they need to give themselves to God.
Yes.
In godliness, there is discipline, there is character, there is morals. And number three, we were trained to study hard that we may get jobs. Is that time we start changing that mentality in the lives of our young people?
Yes.
Study and become a job creator.
Yes.
And we can venture into so many things. Don't be idle. Just go and engage yourself to so many other avenues out there. As long as they are orthodox, they are legally acceptable, that helps them add value into their lives.
Yes.
Lastly, but of equal magnitude, they need to give themselves to mentors, people who hold their hands and help them get to grow. Before they admire to get where they are, they need to sit down to listen to their story. Trust the process and eventually get there. And also submit to our parents. If you don't respect your elders, you will not be respected when your time comes. If you don't submit to them that in authority, you don't get to places of authority.
Yes, tumefurahia sana Bwana Rogers for coming to our studios and sharing more on what you're doing as a chaplain and mentor. Continue on the same path. We'll be happy to host you again and talk about the success stories from your work.
Thank you.
We have been talking to one Captain Rogers Monene, who is an academic excellence counselor and a mentor to young students and youth. This has been very enlightening, and from me, it's a wrap for now. Vivian is joining you for the next session. Good Morning Kenya continues shortly. My name is Mike Megwe.
Giza giza tutafanya lile tendo, washamalizanga tembo, kinachofuata ni skendo.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa.
Shika ujaribu, si ujaribu.
Kichwa yangu si kubwa. Hii kitu inaweza toshea.
Mande tunasere tukimada repeat it. Leo tunakunywa hadi tutoke kwa news. Aya, hola.
Na imagine ilikuwa ni ngoma na inailia hapo kuna chomeka. Ni mbaya. Alafu mtu anacheka.
Wazima moto.
Hello. Niaje bro? Ni Sami Kioko ule ulikuwa unanipeleka Churchill. Hebu nikukol.
Mambo nakuwa yege. Mambo nakuwa lombo, yani mambo nakuwa bravo.
Uko kwa mtito wanaoana na mfunga ndoa na maji.
Pia madhala utaniletea hapa.
Teza uko kutandika. Mimi naweza kukupiga mgoga.
Kikuja hapa matunge nikose kuku.
Wewe. Nipatie mocha bana hiyo. Kwanza ongea Kichina.
Kichina.
He has forgiven me and he wants things to work between us. That's because he loves me.
And you? Do you also love him? If anything happens to my sister or me, that statement is going to be delivered to the proper authorities.
It's about time you understood that not everyone you deal with will do your bidding.
Olga.
Get out! You'll have enough time to comply with the reforms needed at the public clinic. There it is.
This is impossible.
You want to see your son. That's what you have to do.
Uko kwa mtito wanaoana na mfunga ndoa na maji.
Pia madhala utaniletea hapa.
Teza uko kutandika. Mimi naweza kukupiga mgoga.
Kikuja hapa matunge nikose kuku.
Wewe. Nipatie mocha bana hiyo. Kwanza ongea Kichina.
Kichina.
These are the moments we live for every Friday as we catch up with the world of football.
Manchester City go in front.
With your favorite stars in rivalries like no other that keeps you on the edge of your seat. Learn a few tricks that keep you ahead of the game and spice it all with unforgettable moments on Dunda Dunda. On Saturday, you're in for another treat as we rock your weekend with all sporting disciplines, bringing you insights on what's happening behind the scenes as we share players and athlete stories, preparations, and celebrate their achievements.
Charging to the line! Is it going to be a world record? Yes, it is! She smashed it!
Whatever angle you look at, we've got you covered. KBC Channel 1, your true sports partner. It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living.
Thank you so much for keeping it. Good morning, Kenya. At exactly 6 minutes past 9, we now get into family check. Now, for many decades, divorce rates in Kenya have been on a low. However, the Kenya Bureau of Statistics has been recording a steady rise in divorce cases in the country over the last 5 years. What is the problem? What is ailing the marriage institution? And our topic of discussion today is on how to restore, rebuild, and repair marriages. And to join me for this particular discussion is Pastor Helen Wanjiru of the Woman Travel International. Pastor Helen, welcome to Good Morning Kenya.
Thank you so much, Vivian.
I'll go straight into this. What is ailing the marriage institution? Or maybe before we get there, let's not assume everyone knows. What is marriage?
All right. Good morning, Kenya. Thank you so much, Vivian, for hosting me this morning.
Welcome.
And maybe if we can begin by saying what is marriage.
Yes.
Marriage is when two mature people intentionally comes together for the agenda of God in an institution. Two mature people. Yeah, not a boy and a girl.
Two mature people.
Two mature people.
Does age have anything to do with it, or maturity comes with?
Maturity depends on what is in your upstairs. Actually, we cannot be able to define maturity with age, though age is also a factor. Yeah.
And actually, now that you've talked about maturity and age, I'm curious to know, is there a particular age where you would advise a lady to get married, and is there a particular age where you would advise a man to marry?
All right. As for me, when it comes to a man, because marriage is not about a girl looking for a woman looking for a man. There is a man who finds, and that's why the Bible says, whoever finds a wife finds a good thing. That means it's a man, it's the responsibility of a man to find. And that's why when God created Adam, the Bible says that God made him to sleep, and he was able to remove the rib. When he made the woman, the Bible says when the Adam saw, he said, the flesh of my flesh, the bone of my bone. Meaning, it is a man who finds, not a woman who finds. But now, this one now becomes an era in our generation. We are finding. The hunter has become the hunted.
So women are now finding. There's no particular age. I was waiting for you to give me an age that you feel is the most appropriate.
No, because as for me, I got married as early as 2007. So I'm in my marriage for 17 years.
How old were you then?
So
okay, you don't
I might not be able to disclose, but age might not necessarily be a factor, but maturity is.
Okay, so age has nothing to do with it. So why is it that now the marriages nowadays are experiencing so many divorces? According to statistics, the divorce rates have gone really high over the last 5 years, with 2020 reporting the most divorces, in the country. So what is ailing this institution? Where is the problem?
To begin with, you need to understand the reason as to why you need to get into your marriage. That is number one. And I begin by saying, Vivian, that in every marriage, God is involved. But now, anytime you displace the space of God in that union, then that marriage cannot stand. Actually, there must be storms that cannot even be calmed down. Anytime you now you begin to say that this is about me and my husband, Anthony, wherever he is. But now, when you understand there is an agenda of God in our coming together, you exhort the agenda of God in that union, separation, or even the issue of restoration, to you it shall be a thing of the past. But now, when we talk about marriage, when two mature individuals comes together, again, a mature person needs to be responsible. A mature person is not about 40 years, 30 years, 50 years. It is about responsibilities. And that's why the Bible says that a man, not a boy, a man will leave the father and the mother. The man will leave his parents so that he can be able to cling to his wife. Now, it is the responsibility that takes the man away from the umbrella of the parents. But today, they want to get married, they want to marry, but still they are under the umbrella of the parents. So that man cannot be responsible. It is responsibility that keeps any marriage. Because it is a covenant. When we talk of a covenant, it is an agreement between two people. So for you to continue in this covenant, it means that you have a responsibility to keep the covenant, which is not the case in our unions today. That's why we are finding ourselves in the restoration path. Yet God creating this, by the way, this is the only institution that God created. Any other is man-made. This is the only thing that God created. But now it comes with responsibilities. So anytime we break the responsibilities path, we come to restoration. Yes.
So what are we doing wrongly?
Hey, so many things.
Yeah. If you can just point them out. You've said there's lack of responsibility.
Yes.
That is one of them.
Yeah.
What else is ailing this institution? What is it that people are doing that they're not supposed to do? Or what is it that we are not doing?
All right. When we talk about responsibility, marriage is a journey of responsibility to begin with. A journey of responsibility. When we talk about responsibility, the Bible tells a man, love your wife as Christ loved the church. When Christ loved the church, it means Christ died for the church. Jesus went through hell, pain, storms, and that's when we are seeing him when crossing over to the other side of the lake. The Bible talks about when the storm came. The raging storm came. Jesus took responsibility to calm the storm. We sing Jesus dying on the cross for us. Why is God likening the love of the husband, not of a man, a husband, to the wife, like that of Christ to the church? It is because it is not possible sometimes. It doesn't come freely. It doesn't come automatically. That's why now when you are commissioned to love your wife, it means at some point you may not do it without being reminded. But now also that is the responsibility of a husband. A wife also has responsibilities. As you're being loved, submit to your own husband. But now it has become the opposite way. You want me to submit, but there is no love.
What does submission look like? Submission
simply means I take my will, place it under your will. Simple. I don't have I have my own will, yes. But if I'm a wife, and I have maybe I can give an example so that we can be able to understand what submission is.
Yeah.
Maybe I have a project that I feel it's burning in my heart. In this project, bearing in mind there is an order of God in my marriage. By the way, the order of God is the man, a husband being the head, and the wife being the neck. When it comes the other way around, tunarundi pale kwa restoration. Anytime the agenda is inverted, anytime the order of God is inverted, we come back to restoration. Now, when I have a burning agenda or even a thing that I want to do, a project or such, now that God has given me the order and I understand the marriage order, I have a husband who is my head, I need now to bring this agenda to him. This is what I desire to do. How do you, even if I know this is the correct thing, I have to put this will under his heel, under his will. And in case he says, my wife let this wait, I'll have to pull back. But now we are seeing push and pull. This one has to go through. This one has to go through. I'm here to let every wife understand that it is not a must that your husband agree to you in everything, irrespective of how correct you are. And this is why now when you try to push things, the husband feels that you are taking their position and the tug of war begins in that family.
But does this mean that women have no say when it comes to marriages?
They have say. Actually, the Bible says, the Bible likens the women with the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit, the Bible says, if you read Genesis, you will understand that man was given the perfect helpmate. And Holy Spirit is our helper. When Jesus was going to heaven, he said, I will send you a helper, who is the Holy Spirit. So a man cannot perform anything without the wife. And a helper is always stronger than the person who is getting helped. So actually women are the powerhouses for men to operate. But again, because of how God created them, they need to feel that they are the men. They are the lions in the jungle. Let's not assume this. And there is nothing we can do about this as women. Whether we are learned or not, whether we are earning billions or not, we need to leave the space of a man as a space of a man. If marriages has to work. This is the order of God. And God was not confused. Yes.
Okay. Now, how different are marriages today compared to marriages back in the day? I want to look at marriages, my grandparents' marriages. How different is that marriage compared to the marriages that we have now?
So many things are happening because my grandfather brought up I think my father's house is a full house of 12 children. My grandfather was so responsible. He knew every school of the child. He knew when the school fees was being paid. But now today's marriage, and our grandfather and our grandmother knew that my work is this. I make sure the children feeds. Nimepika yo chakula after it has been brought by my grandfather. And do you know what is happening today?
What is happening? Tell me.
We are getting back to where we began, Vivian. The sense of responsibility. By the way, never say that you love someone. You love your wife and you are a irresponsible man. Please, you don't love her. Love simply means responsibilities. How responsible are you? Because when you are told love, you defend, you protect, you provide. What are you doing? What can you say that now? God, I have tried my best. This is what I have done. So many people cannot say anything. Some of them even don't know where the children goes to school, when the school fees is getting paid. They do not know. Now, this is where we are getting the demarcation between our parents' marriages and our today's marriages.
Yes. And on that note, we take a break. Don't you go too far because we will be continuing with this conversation in just a bit.
I love you, Isabel, and I want to be with you, but every day you make it more and more difficult.
You destroyed the life of my mother. She had to walk out on her children.
She doesn't want us to see each other either. The worst part is that I don't know why. What do you think?
So I'd be grateful if you could give my daughter this money that I saved with great effort.
Her situation is the only thing that could save us now from being locked behind bars.
Welcome back. In case you're just tuning in, our topic of discussion on Family Check today is on marriages and restoration of marriages. Before we took that break, you were just talking about responsibility, and there's something you said, that nowadays we have people, rather fathers, who have no idea, you know, what school maybe their children go to. They don't know when school fees is being paid. Would you say that it is the fact that now more women are empowered? Women are very empowered to a point where they can take care of everything by themselves.
Now, it's good to be empowered. And congratulations to any woman watching me, and you are empowered. It's a good thing. But let this not be the reason as to why duties or even responsibilities will be inverted. There will be a dishonor automatically in that marriage, which will cause separation in due end.
But what if that's the point at which the season in which they're in, whereby the lady is earning more money and maybe the man is not making as much, or maybe doesn't even have a job, maybe they lost their job? Then what happens? This is where we are talking about inverting the roles. Automatically, their roles will be inverted because, if the woman is earning, why would the child stay at home and I can pay the fees?
No, I'm not saying personally I do a lot. So I'm not asking women to withhold. Actually, I always say that if you are a wife and you're earning $1 million bob and your husband is earning 100,000, in that house we have 1.1 million. We do not have the ratio between the two. We have 1.1 million. But my question is your whole 100,000 being used in this marriage? Because the Bible says, where your treasure is, your heart is. So the treasures of a husband, regardless of how literal they are, where are they? Are they given to the parents? That's where the heart is. Are they given to the friends? That's where the heart is. You need to show that you need to show your wife that your heart is where she is by just depositing your treasures in that marriage, regardless of their issues, because we cannot earn equally. But at least the little you are earning, let it be spent in that marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get that. Now, when it comes to attributes and values, what maybe are some of the values that each spouse should possess in order for them to have a good marriage, so that we don't get to a point where we are trying to restore the marriage?
All right. As we are avoiding restoration, because the energy you use to do your marriage the God way is little compared to the energy you use in restoration. And could be even in restoration, the scars won't be left. So why can't we avoid the scars? Because, Jesus restored the mankind, but Jesus can show the scars. So we are avoiding the scars in marriages by doing marriages the God way. Understand the God's order concerning your union, and it shall stand the test of time. Now, when we talk about the attributes that maybe can avert the process of restoration, we're saying that when you love as a man, you protect, you defend, and you provide. How many husbands today are stripping their wives naked for their own good? For example, how many husbands are watching me today? But because you wanted to win a heart of a mpango wa kando somewhere, you had to strip your wife naked for you to win. If you're watching me, the Lord says you need to change. This is what is happening. Because now I don't have the material. I'm lying, of course. So I'll go saying my wife is like this, ABC, so that now I can get whatever I want to get. This is not right. And this thing has contributed to this thing. All of it shall sum up to separation, divorce at the long run. Because once I realize he's having a mpango wa kando, what will happen? I'll separate, or even I'll seek advice that will maybe tell me do this or that. That demarcation might cost a lot even to our generation. Now, when it comes to defending, how many husbands are defending their wives? So many wives out there, they just give me a call. Pastor, this is what we are going through. This is what can I do? You listen, Vivian, and you feel chills all over. Then you ask yourself, is this man a mature man? Because when you become a mature man, you defend without being commissioned to do that, without being pushed. You provide without being pushed. You see, these are the things that are causing separations in our marriages.
Yeah. Maybe if someone comes to you and asks you, what are the secrets to a good marriage?
Everyone watching and listening to us this morning, the secret and the biggest secret to a happy marriage is one, understand the God order of any union. When you understand that a husband needs to step in this position, stand your position, whether your wife appreciates or not, whether your wife sees what you are doing or after all, we are not in competition. We are not in competition. We are in a season of complementing each other. But why is competition comes in? It is because as a husband, as a wife, I am jealous of what my spouse is doing. Don't you know there is a lot of competition in our marriages today?
Tell me about it.
And should it be there at the first place? No, because this is the only institution where we say 1 + 1 is equals to 1. So if I'm competing with my husband today, it means I'm not even normal, because how can you compete with yourself? Yes? We go to an extent of, battling each other, slandering each other, fighting. How can someone fight his own self? It's abnormal. So if you want to have a better marriage, the secret is understand the God order, understand the agenda of God in your marriage. Let it be the center of it all. The center of it all. In your thinking, God the center. In your doing, let God reign. Whether my husband appreciates me or not, I'll continue to be a good wife. For the sake of my generation. Because what kind of a legacy will you leave, by the way? Today I am posing a question. If the next 40, the next 50 years, your generations begin to do the exact things you are doing, will you be happy in the other world? This should be the most push for us to do the right things in our unions. Because life, it is give and take. It's a sowing season every time. Whatever you do will come back to you.
I want to get into what you were saying, that sometimes you just let things go in order for you to keep your marriage. And there's this line that is that says that God does not like divorce, which is true. But I want to look at a situation where a woman is in a marriage where she's being battered. She's being violently, physically abused each and every day. Like, she is not happy in that particular marriage. Would you still not maybe advocate for divorce? Because I feel like sometimes we are not saying, we're not preaching divorce, right? We're not preaching divorce. But I'm trying to look at a situation where a woman is being told, vumilia, mwanamke ni kujenga nyumba yake. But you're being beaten each and every day. You're being taken to the hospital countless times. What do you say to a lady who's watching right now and probably they're in that situation? Do you still stick with no divorce?
Women Travel International, which I'm a visionary of the movement, we redeem, restore, and rectify the marriages. We don't advocate divorce. We do not advocate for people to be, to kuvumilia, kuvumilia. We don't advocate that you just sit there, be battered, until It is not a do or die. It's not a do or die. Then we go back to what Moses said in the Old Testament. The reason as to why Moses allowed divorce, it was because of the hardness of the hearts of the children of Israel. So, whatever that is causing all these things, battering your wife, by the way, any man, any husband beating a wife is not a normal husband. Because now, how can I take my right hand, beat my left hand? Is it even, it's not normal. You need a checkup. Because Moses allowed divorce because people hardened their heart. They hardened their heart towards their wives, towards their husbands. They could not hear anything. They could not allow anything. That's why Moses told them, as you want, I allow. But God hates divorce. God hates divorce. In such a case, if you are in such a situation where your husband, your wife is battering you, you only need to seek help. And this help can lead to a separation in a way, so that you can be able to think right, you can be able to make the right decisions. Yes.
So don't die in a marriage simply
Please
because
don't.
God
You are not
hates
Jesus.
divorce, you know?
Jesus died for us. Don't die for that marriage. Yes.
I'm glad that you've clarified that.
Yes.
Now, how does one repair a marriage that is falling apart? We're not looking at the battering, just a marriage that is falling apart because of many other reasons. How do we restore? How do we repair such marriages?
Woman Travel in this season, we are dealing with rebuilding the broken walls of our marriages, a session that we began last month, and we shall do up to the end of next month. You need to understand the rebuilding, what the rebuilding is all about. You need to calculate the cost of rebuilding before you begin rebuilding. You also need to understand when did the rain began to beat us. As a couple, you also need to know that when Nehemiah began to rebuild the broken wall of Jerusalem, he also prayed about it.
Yeah.
The Bible says, Nehemiah chapter number 1, the Bible says that Nehemiah confessed or repented the sins of the whole city of Judah. You need to own up the mistake of your spouse if you have to rebuild that marriage. It is not like my husband did. It is God we did forgive us. If you have to rebuild, it is we did forgive us. Because when did you become two? You already one. So God forgive us, we did this. And I want to rebuild this marriage. Nehemiah did it alone, and there were so many people in his town. You need to understand, if your spouse is not willing to rebuild and you've taken up the task to rebuild, the assignment lies in your hands. You own every mistake. You own every responsibility. So calculate the cost before you begin to rebuild. Yes. Rebuilding is not easy. It is costly. But again, there is no marriage that is beyond redemption. Hakuna. The hand of God is not too short, Vivian, to reach unto us. He is able to do that. He is able to restore us back. And that's why he has raised Women Travel International. We move from one county to another. Soon we shall move from one nation to another. Redeeming marriage, simple redeeming marriages that are just drowning every day. Yes.
And how do you go about redeeming it?
We go redeeming it by making sure a husband knows his space in that union according to the God's order. Because once you get into that space and you understand this is where God wants me to be, this is how God wants things done, then redemption inakuwa rahisi. Because as you continue to be in your right position, things continue to align for you. Because God is not a man to lie. He's not a son of David to repent. He's a God of integrity. So if he tells you, husband, love your wife, and you love your wife and she behaves unlovable, God will deal with her. But the reason as to why now we are getting tired easily is because now we want to push them to do what we want. Leave them alone. As Vivian, if you're married, do the wife-free duties.
So when we talk of redeeming and restoring marriages, it means that the two need to be in agreement, that the both of them want this to work.
Of course, it takes two to tango.
Yeah. So they go for counseling, or
they seek the help that they need. And most importantly, they need to pray together. When Nehemiah was in the assignment of rebuilding, the Bible says he prayed for 4 months before counting the cost of rebuilding. 4 months praying for the rebuilding process. You need to pray together. In your prayer closet, the Lord will give away. In your prayer closet, the Lord will release wisdom, because every marriage must be built on wisdom. Marriages are not built on love alone. Love cannot sustain any marriage, but wisdom will. Yes.
Wisdom is what sustains marriages.
Yes. Wisdom is the principal thing.
Okay.
Yes.
When we say, many a times we hear when someone is complaining about their marriage is not really working out, you're told to pray about it, just as you've said it. For someone who's not a believer, then what? You know, there are people who are watching us right now and they are not of the Christian faith. So then what for them?
Oh my goodness. Now, when it comes to the non-believer, I would want to ask you something. Do you believe that God is the author of your marriage? Because now, how can he intervene something that he did not begin? You see? Now, it is like there is no legality, there is no legal ground for the help to reach them. There is no legal ground. Yes. So as for me, come to Christ. As for me, come to Christ for you to enjoy restoration. Yeah.
Okay, now you're speaking as a pastor. I wanted to get the other side. I'm not the pastor, but it's okay. It's all right. So how does one notice that their marriage needs restoration? At what point does one actually notice that, okay, I think we are not headed in the right direction, we need an intervention, we need this to be restored?
There are so many things, there are so many indicators. You know, you are one. You cannot be able to fail to know when your heartbeat is wrong. You cannot fail to know when you have some headache. You automatically will feel like, hey, my body is not functioning right. You'll be able to know there is communication problem, there is this provision problem, there is that care problem. The care that I'm used to be shown by my husband is no longer there. So you'll be able to notice A, B, C, D. You connect and feel like something needs to be done. Yes, it's like just the functionality of your body. You will surely understand,
so
this is not working, this is not working.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's when you decide to seek a doctor. Yes.
Yeah. Now, as we get to winding up on this discussion, I want us to talk about the young people, the younger generation. And nowadays, when I talk to most, I'll say young women, and there's something that I hear time and again, where they say, you know, marriage is not an achievement. And it clearly puts that, it says that most young people now, both men and women, are not really intending to get married. Why is the problem? Why is it that most of our young people now are not looking forward to getting married? They look at it as, well, it's
actually
not really an achievement, it's not a goal. It's a scam because of the stories maybe we get to see every now and then. So why is it that as young people, many of the young people in this country are not looking to get married?
Vivian, let me begin by saying that we have caused this mentality to our young generation, because we are set to be good examples who we are not. So when I'm raising my children, I'm raising a teen. Firstborn is in Form 1. Second born also is a teen. She's over 10 years. So these people learn by not what we are saying, but by what we are doing. So my daughter is able to tell whether in future she will need a husband or not. My son is able to tell in future whether he will need a wife or not by the way we are relating with their father. The reason as to why, actually we've seen young people getting into the same sex and such. We're seeing these dirty technologies. We are the cause. I've sat down with, I think, 2 girls. The reason as to why they are in that group, they don't have a reason. They are full of bitterness. Their hearts are bitter. Because of betrayals while they were growing up from their parents, from their relatives. So the kind of a sign we are giving unto them is that marriage is a scam. Marriage is a scam. But as a young man who is listening and watching me this morning, I want to let you know that there is a level you will never get until you get married. This is why the Bible says, whoever finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor. A man without favor is a miserable man. You will toil for nothing because nothing is working for you. But labor replaces, favor replaces your efforts and labors. As a woman, if you're watching me this morning, I want to take you to the book of Judges chapter number 4. You read verse 4 and read Judges chapter 5 and verses 7. I want you to understand that you will never be a perfect mother. You will never mother anybody. You will never mother anything unless you're married. We are saying about Deborah. Deborah was a wife of Rabidoth. And the Bible says he was a mother of Israel. So whoever is calling herself a mother outside this institution, I don't agree with
But that is debatable, because when you say you can't mother anything or be a mother to anyone unless you're married, there are many single mother homes who are doing it right, and they're not single because maybe they wanted to. Out of circumstances, someone was raped and they decided to keep this child, so they still have the child. So I think that sentence is a bit too harsh.
It's not harsh, because it's not harsh, and I might not be harsh on. I have so many. I'm a pastor. I pastor a church. Now your church is gonna single mothers. I'm talking of real motherhood. You know, motherhood is not giving birth. Motherhood is not giving birth.
So single mothers are not real mothers?
No, they are mothers. Just Google about motherhood. You will understand it's not just giving birth. Because they are mothers, you are married, you don't have a kid. But motherhood is an office. Actually, motherhood in the spiritual realm is an office that you occupy. Do you know the reason as to why we are married, we have children, but we are still women, not wives? Because there is a transition between coming out of the office of a woman to an office of a wife. An office of a wife is a different office from an office of a woman. The reason as to why we are having separated mothers but they are married, it is because sisi tumekatalia kwa ile ofisi ya kuwa mwanamke. Kuwa mwanamke ni kumaanisha the responsibilities of a wife mimi sitaki. So motherhood comes with the responsibilities
of motherhood.
And that's why we are seeing Deborah herself was a wife to someone, then gets to the office of a wife. God promotes her to become the mother to the nations. And tunjambiwa alikuwa na mtoto. It's an office by itself. It is not about gender or giving birth. No, it's an office by itself.
All right. Okay. Now I'll allow you to give your parting shot as we wind up with this discussion. Just very briefly.
Oh my, okay. Let's avoid the restoration process by doing the right thing, by stepping into the space that God wants us to step. Occupy your office well. If you're married today, just know that you are not waiting to have a kid for you to become a mother. Step into the office of a wife and promotion will be sure for you by God, and you shall mother your 4th generation. My name is Pastor Helen. I'm a visionary to Woman Travel International. You can follow us on the Facebook page. We do our our prayer meetings for marriages every Friday and Sunday. The Lord bless you all.
Thank you so much. And on that note, we put a cap to today's Good Morning Kenya. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have been your host, Vivian Dagwa. Until tomorrow, goodbye.
Forgiven me and he wants things to work between us. That's because he loves me.
And you? Do you also love him? If anything happens to my sister or me, that statement is going to be delivered to the proper authorities.
It's about time you understood that not everyone you deal with will do your bidding.
Olga.
Get out! You'll have enough time to comply with the reforms needed at the public clinic. There it is.
This is impossible.
You want to see your son. That's what you have to do.
to the incredible tally of 8 goals in 4 games. That's half as many as last season's joint top scorers all campaign. But he's still humble as ever.
C'est très bien. Mais voilà, je le répète toujours, c'est le collectif. Sans mes coéquipiers, je peux pas marquer ces buts-là. Voilà, c'est un travail d'équipe. Voilà, aujourd'hui c'est moi qui marque. Le prochain match c'est un autre, mais je suis très content d'avoir marqué 3 buts et encore plus content pour la victoire.
Girassi. Oh look.